Raider Nation, it's Friday, and today we're giving away $1,600. I'm Mitchell Renz. You're watching the Raiders Report. I know we don't usually go live on Friday. I apologize. I was not feeling well yesterday, and I did not want to do a crazy live show feeling the way that I did. But the good news is this. I think I had a little bit of a stomach bug. I'm ready to rock and roll today. I'm ready to get wet and wild like we always do on Friday type of happy hour shows. So today, we are giving away over $1,600. Today, either David Rubio or Ivan is going to end up winning $1,600 in our March Madness show. If you want to get a chance to win a little bit of extra money in a duck race, it is a $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. But I'm telling you this right now, we got a full show on tap for you. Everything that I was going to talk about yesterday, I'm going to talk about here on today's show. We're going to discuss Jakobi Meyers and whether or not I think he could end up getting a contract extension. We're going to talk about some of the top 30 visits that the Raiders have had, some of the latest draft news and rumors around the silver and black. Then I want to talk about some potential offensive linemen that the Raiders could draft in each round. I'm also just going to be breaking down everything that there is to talk about that you guys are asking me. So make sure that you're using hashtag Raiders or Super Chat to get those questions, comments on the show today. And I'll also say this, the deals that we got, they're a little bit different from what we typically do. So right now, somebody the other day was asking me, Mitch, now that the Raiders have given Geno Smith a contract extension, what is something that the Raiders could do before the NFL draft or this offseason that's not around the draft? Which I like these type of questions simply because we can sit up here and we can talk about the draft all we want. And we're going to talk about the draft a lot, obviously. And at this point, I'm kind of just like, all right, let's just do the NFL draft right now. So if you had to pick one player to extend, because in my mind, the way that the Raiders have operated this offseason, they've operated in a way where they're putting their priorities first. They go out, they get a lot of guys in the trenches. You go out, you extend a guy like Max Crosby. You go give Geno an extension. And now to me, the next two players that I would say are the most likely to get an extension, Jakobi Meyers or Kolton Miller. So if you had to pick, if you were sitting in a room with John Spytek and Pete Carroll, if you had to pick between these two players here, which one would you give an extension to first? Would you go with Jakobi Meyers? I want you to type JM. Or would you end up going with Kolton Miller? I want you to type KM. One of the players that is on this is going to be somebody that I talk about, and I'll give you a projection of how much it's going to cost today. What are you guys thinking? Let me know. Tim's going to go with Jakobi Meyers. KM from Brian. Big Luck's going to go with a JM. Steven Gutierrez is going to go with Jakobi Meyers. Emmanuel Sanchez, Jakobi Meyers. If you haven't yet voted on the live poll that you see at the very top of today's show, I want to know whether or not you think Jakobi ends up getting a contract extension. Colton coming in from Roger. What up, Gunny? He's going to go with Jakobi Meyers. I also saw that we had a super chat before the show even started. Also, Chuggs, I don't know why. I can hear an echo in my headset. I think it's just because, yeah. I'm at the Dallas-Fort Worth airport on a layover for my flight to Seattle. Not quite. I'll be on the flight when the live kicks off, so I just wanted to check in. Shout out to Blaine Craig. Blaine, I don't know if you're still here, man, but if you are, appreciate you. Heaven said, why not both? No, not quite. I can just still hear myself. From a both standpoint, Heaven, you're not wrong. Like, if I was the Las Vegas Raiders, I would try to extend both of those players. The question is more around, because this is what we like to do here, if you could only pick one. Because I do think NFL teams every single offseason always have to figure out priorities. They always have to figure out where they're going to allocate certain money. And hypothetically speaking, if you had to pick one, which one would you go with? And that's kind of what I like to do. Patrick B., appreciate you tuning in, man. Really, really do appreciate it. Robert Jansen, what's up, man? I am. Both deserve extensions, but Kolton Miller harder to find in the league than a wide receiver. I actually don't disagree with that. I actually think if you were trying to replace either Kolton Miller or if you were trying to replace Jakobi Meyers in the National Football League, I do think that you'd actually have a harder time finding a replacement for Kolton Miller compared to somebody like Jakobi. And it's not because either player isn't great. Both players, I think, do exactly what they're asked to do. But finding a left tackle that you have a lot of confidence in to protect that blind side is a little bit more of a difficult procedure, though. I could also say this, if you didn't want to extend Kolton Miller, you could go out and just draft somebody like a Will Campbell and put him in at left tackle. I know he's got T-Rex arms, but he is one hell of a player. Speaking of hell of a, hell of a Game Time app, and I love Game Time, the official ticketing sponsor of the Raiders Report. If you're looking for the last-minute ticket deals, views from your seats, and that lowest price guaranteed, Game Time is going to be here to help out all the Raiders Report watchers. Now, obviously, terms apply. So if you could, download the Game Time app, create an account, use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code ChatSports. That's CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today, and if you're sitting there going, what time is it? Well, it's actually 2:07 p.m. Eastern Time, but it's always Game Time, especially here on the Raiders Report. I've also used Game Time for the past few years, and I can't tell you how many MLB games I've gone to because of the app. I love it because of that last-minute tickets, the zone deals. It's easy to find and buy MLB tickets, and for every kind of event in your area. Views from all the seats in the venue, lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection. Heck, you can actually save up to 60% off by buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater. Game Time picks make last-minute ticket buying easier than ever by quickly highlighting the best deals in the stadium. That's why I love Game Time. I feel like I'm a busy person, and at the end of the day, I always like to save money on a deal. And if you think that exact same way, download the Game Time app, create an account, use code ChatSports. That link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. So huge shout out to Game Time. One of the other segments that I got coming up here is going to be offensive line draft targets by round. I know that John Spytek like offensive linemen. If you believe in building in the trenches, type me down below, because I can honestly say this. I like the Raiders' offensive line. I do think it is an underrated unit across the league, but also at the exact same time, there can be improvements that are made, right? Just by me saying, I want the Raiders to go out and go get an Armin Membu. That's not me saying that the Raiders' offensive line stinks. That's me just simply going, if you can improve on any position in the league, let's go and try to improve at that position. So will the Raiders draft an offensive lineman in the 2025 NFL Draft? You got 9 picks in total. And I'm seeing Mark Prosser believes in building in the trenches. Zalesbo believes in building in the trenches. Jurassic Raider believes in building in the trenches. My Guitar believes on building in the trenches. And I don't know if the Raiders are going to end up taking an offensive lineman on day 1 and on day 2, but I do think out of one of those 9 picks, because John Spytek said it himself just a few days ago, you guys know how much I like offensive linemen, and I know how much John Spytek likes offensive linemen. Kenny Clark screaming Tyler Booker. Kenny Clark, you got some good news coming up in a little bit. Let's go to my man Rebel Montana. Hey, Reb, I saw what you posted on Instagram yesterday. RIP, I believe it was to your uncle. I do not remember his name. But believe me when I tell you all this, I do try to stay in tap with everybody that watches this show. I saw that you poured up a shot for your uncle. Looked like he got the full military, service. RIP to a great. I didn't get to meet him, but I am a big believer. When you meet good people, they introduce you to other good people, and anybody that's in Rebel Montana's corner is somebody that I would love to be able to shake hands with. So, Reb, I'm sorry for everything you had to go through yesterday, but just always know, man, we got your back here, dude. We always got your back. Does the Browns quarterback affect the Raiders pick at number 6? So today the Cleveland Browns ended up signing Joe Flacco, which I thought was interesting. And it's kind of like they have Kenny Pickett, they have Flacco. I don't anticipate that the Browns are going to take a quarterback. And when you look at the latest rumors, odds, kind of sounds like it's going to be Travis Hunter is going to be the pick at number 2. Cam Ward's going to be the pick at number 1. Where it really gets interesting is what the New York Giants decide to do. And I think if I'm the Giants, I'm either taking Travis Hunter or I'm taking Abdul Carter, right? Whoever is available to me on the board there, I'm going to go out and I'm going to address it in that position. And then if I'm the New England Patriots, I probably do the exact same thing. Though I was talking to one of our Patriot sources here at Chat Sports. There's a lot of rumors right now around Armin Membu to New England. Let's go to Aggressive Master Raider. Happy Friday, Nation, and cheers. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to come into work yesterday. I'm not kidding y'all. I literally showed up to work yesterday because I'm a big, I'm going to give it a shot type of guy. I'm always at least going to try to show up. I'm always at least just going to try to give it my all. I was at work yesterday for 20 minutes. I looked at Chuggs and I'm like, dude, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. And then I ended up throwing up. I literally almost threw up all over one of the guys at work here. And because right when I was busting in the bathroom, he was heading out. And really, really rough day for me yesterday. But I don't know, man. I think I had a 12 to 18 hour bug because I feel great today. I might still sound a little bit shitty, probably from just throwing up all day yesterday, but I'm down to get down. It's Friday. I'm here to have a good time like you already know. And today's Super Chat deals are as followed. I want to do a few little different things today, so, just kind of keep that into the realm of possibilities. I'm not going to be drinking like crazy amount today, so I wanted to at least be able to give you guys a deal where if you're trying to bang, if you're trying to get wild for Raider Nation, well then hopefully it's worth your money. So today's deals are this. Every $20 Venmo we get, we're going to be entered in a duck race, and at the very end of today's show, somebody's going to win some money. If somebody sends in a $50 super chat, all I want you to do is give us a category, and Chuggs and I together are going to do a top 5. So for instance, if the first one comes in, I get picks 1, 3, and 5. Chuggs gets 2 and 4. The next time around, Chuggs gets 1, 3, 5. I get 2 and 4. Shout out to the great Brandon Jasper if you got a category that you want us to debate on. Every $100 super chat, I will do a beer bong, and it will be a bang on today's show. If you send in a $100 Venmo, it counts as a bang. I'm not going to do a beer bong, but I'm going to add $50 of that Venmo bang to that Venmo duck race because I want to get a big pot on today's show. And then if I get 10 bangs today, whether it's Super Chat or on Venmo, I'm going to give you guys a weekend show. And it was kind of funny. Yesterday, I had 2 other Raiders YouTubers reach out to me, and they said, hey, man, would you ever join a show with me? And I said, yeah, man, I would love to be able to do it. I just got to be able to find time. And, yesterday, since I was sick, I was able to be on my phone a little bit more. But either A, I'm going to join somebody else's show that does a Raiders show, or I'm just going to go live on Instagram at Mitchell Renz 365. But if we get 10 bangs, you guys are going to see me again on Saturday or Sunday this week talking some Raiders. One of the other segments that I got coming up here on today's show is a Raiders Report mailbag. So if you want to get your questions, your comments featured in today's show, hashtag Raiders, or you can super chat. All I ask is that they're around trades. Let's give me some free agency questions. Give me a lot of draft questions. I just want questions that, when you're sitting there thinking about like what people are asking, those are the questions that I want to see. Everything going on around the Raiders, just make sure that you use hashtag Raiders. So one of the players that continuously gets talked about for the Silver and Black, Ashton Jeanty. And there's been some interesting reports out there that there are some people around the NFL that believe the Raiders will pass on Jeanty if he's available to them at pick number 6. My question to you is from a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being it wouldn't shock you at all, 10 it would be a mind-blowing thing for you. How shocked would you be if the Raiders passed on Jeanty at number 6? 1 to 10. Let me know down below. Invasion says 10. I do think 10 is a bit of a high number, and I don't think it's a 10. Big Luck's going to go 6. Mark Prosser says 5. Red Eye says 9. Jonathan Smith says 9. Don's going to go with a 6. Salvador Vargas, a 2. Man, so you don't, I mean, with a 2, that tells me that you don't think the Raiders are going to take Jeanty at all. 7 for Hodog. Leo Torres is going to go with a 3. Sir Dre says 18. So I don't even know what to take with that. Fluhy, what's going on, my brother? He's going to go with a 7. Matthew Locke says 9. Matt I is going to go with a 7. Noah Suavemente, only a 1 down below. We got 535 people tuned in right now to the Raiders Report. If you haven't already, make sure you guys click that like button. We do have 131 likes as it stands right now. And again, if you want to get in for a chance to win some money, $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. Oh, yeah, I actually also forgot to mention this. Duck race today. 1v1, David Rubio up against Ivan. To Rubio and to Ivan Perez. Are you guys here today? Because I messaged Rubio on Venmo, and I messaged Ivan the other day said that he was going to be here. I hope that they're here today, because one of y'all two are going to go home with $1,600 in our Raiders Report March Madness finale. That's going to be at the very, very, very end of today's show. Chuggs, in terms of Ashton Jeanty, how surprised would you be if the Raiders decided to pass on him at pick number 6? Do you think it's like Raiders or bust, or do you think that there's another team that you could say I could see him going to?
There we go. I wouldn't be surprised because, I mean, unless they absolutely go with somebody else, which is like out of this realm. Like if they pass on Jeanty and it's like Mike Green, the defensive end from Marshall, or It's like
go home.
Yeah, like it's like Malachi Starks. Like I'd be really shocked if it's a guy like that.
Yep.
But if it's another top 10 prospect, like even this might sound crazy to y'all, even if it's Tyler Warren, I wouldn't be as shocked if it's like a top guy.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't be mad at it either. If they get like a Tet McMillan, if they get a Mimbu, a Will Campbell, maybe even one of those corners, a Jahdae Barron or Will Johnson, that would make a little bit more sense. And I'd be like, okay, it's okay to pass Jeanty. Now, if they pass on Jeanty and it's a rando, kind of like the Raiders have been known to do, like
sure.
if it's like Donovan Ezeraku from Boston College.
Yeah, I mean, if it's that, we're going to be in a lot of pain here on this show. I think the one good sign, or the one good thing that I would say is I literally think that the Raiders can go in a multitude of different ways where if they picked Ashton Jeanty, I'd be more than okay with it. If they picked Will Campbell, I'd be more than okay with it. Armin Membu, more than okay with it.
Yeah.
Like, they can do a multitude of different things, and I'd be more than okay with it. I'd also say, if you told me that they traded back, dude, I'd be fired up for it. So I want to know down below, March Madness finale today. Are you guys going to go with David Rubio, or are you going to go with Ivan Perez, type DR for Rubio, type IP for Mr. Perez? Fun Dip says that he is also team trade back. Gilbert Moreno's going to be rocking with Rubio. All right, I got you. Raiders need a running back from my guitar. They do need a running back, but you also got to remember how deep this year's class is.
It's so deep.
And that could be one of the reasons why you say, I don't want an Ashton Jeanty at 6, because I can get a Caleb Johnson. I can get a Trevion Henderson in round 2. Maybe you can get a Quinshawn Junkins in round 3, right? And, like, there's a lot of value to that. Invasion's going to go with an IP. Salvador Vargas, IP, because the shield profile pick. Fair enough. Patrick Roche, what's up, my man? Roger Chandler's also going to be rocking with David Rubio.
Which, actually, I think how he did it was, is it really bad in your ear?
Yeah. I think whoever was here before was messing with all the stuff.
Yeah, it's a very high pop. Oh, wait. You know what? Is it that? Is that better?
Nope.
No?
I think what we just got to do is just people got to stop coming in here.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with that.
It's all good. You're just extra loud in my ear today, which I don't think it's going to matter for them. It's just extra loud for me. I'll just do this.
What was I saying?
I think you were saying something about... I feel like Alex was just talking to me, and she's like, so what did I just say?
Bro, what were we talking about? I'm just so confused.
The amount of times where Alex will go over wedding stuff with me, and I feel terrible because I do actually listen. And I will sit there, and I'll try to actively hear everything she's saying.
Yep.
And then she'll be like, so what did I say? And I can remember, I don't know, 4 out of the 5. She's like, so you weren't listening.
Yep.
All right, I got another super chat coming in, actually 2 of them. We'll get to those, and then we'll get to the first segment here on today's show. Patrick B., how about now? You're good. Name that commercial. Do you remember that one?
Verizon?
I think it was Verizon. Yeah, I was going to say, I was even like kind of second-guessing myself a little bit. There you go. J. Peace, do you guys still think Isaiah Bond will get drafted after the news that came out? I'm going to be real with you, man. I don't have a great hold on what the whole Isaiah Bond situation is. Do I think that a team will take a shot on him? Probably. I don't think it's going to be the Raiders. And my only, fear with anything like this is, think about, there's just so many other details. And for me personally, I haven't studied all the details around the Isaiah Bond situation. I know that he turned himself in. He posted bond. He was able to get out. But, anytime that you're involved with a sexual assault case right before the NFL draft, if I'm comparing 2 players that are very close to each other, and again, Bond is a good receiver, but he wasn't going to be somebody that goes in round 1. I personally didn't think he was going to go in round 2. There might have been some teams out there round 3, round 4. I think he's going to fall down here a little bit, but I just know the Raiders aren't going to be a team that's going to be interested in him. Let's go to Rebel. Marsh wants to spew as well after his Knicks L. Man, oh man, I saw the other day that the Knicks are 19-22 against winning opponents this season, and once the playoffs come rolling around, I can't wait to see, yeah, it's super loud, how a bunch of these NFL or NBA teams kind of stack up against each other. It's still really loud. The Boston Celtics, I would still say, Celtics, Cavs are probably the top 2 teams. No, yeah, that's better.
That?
Yep. That's a lot better.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that was it.
Perfecto. Thank you.
I
will say this, though. Out of all the teams...
I knew somebody touched it.
I'm going to be rooting for the Knicks. I'm going to be rooting for the Celtics. Those are the two teams that I root for out of the East. I mean, I don't really care about basketball enough. Like, who's y'all's favorite NBA team? I know most of y'all are, like, Lakers fans. I know we got some Warriors fans here in the building. Chuggs is a Rockets fan. But, I mean, for me personally, I root for the teams that do well at Chat Sports. And Knicks and Celtics, I would say, are our top two teams out of the East. That's what I would want. Misty, Magic, really? Bulls fan from Leo. We do have a Bulls channel. I am Punchy Heat. We do have a Heat channel here. Clippers from Jonathan Smith. Lake Show from LA. Crash Dog Invasion says the Hawks. I am not kidding you when I say this. You might be the first person I've ever met that's a Hawks fan. Ira Jackson! What is up? What is up, Ira Jackson?
Woo!
All right, so Ira's top 5 running backs. Are you saying, Ira, top 5 running backs in the NFL right now or top 5 running backs in the NFL draft? If I don't get anything from you, I want to do top 5 running backs in the NFL draft just because it's draft related. But I'll give Ira a little bit of time here to get this one. Chuggs, my Lakers will be on blank today. You nervous? Houston?
Well, I mean, we're already locked into the 2 seed.
Sure.
So,
Doesn't matter.
yeah. We're good. We're good. We're solid, buddy.
Okay.
We're
Fair
solid. Rockets are about to surprise a lot of teams in the West, including your Lakers, Noah Santana. I think the Rockets will at least make the Western Conference Finals.
What's the what do you think's the worst team that they could, or like, do you already know who they're going to be going up against in the playoffs?
Shock it, lock it, knock it. It doesn't matter. Rockets in 5.
Get out of here.
Rockets in 5.
Oh, man. I remember the last guy that said that, and he don't work here anymore. Matt Fluhey, you in. I see Fluhey's going to be in a few times. Ira Jackson, I got you in. And then Gilbert Moreno, you, sir, are also in. Right now it is a $20 Venmo for a chance to go home with $70 here on the Raiders Report. Let's go to Ira, Mount Raider more, top 5 running backs. All right, I haven't seen Ira comment down below. So I'm going to go with top 5 running backs in the NFL draft. Do you want first pick now or first pick in the next one?
Wait, we're each giving our top 5?
No, so we're going to come up with a consensus top 5. So I'm picking 1, you pick 2 and 4, I pick 3 and 5. I get 1, 3, and 5, you get 2 and 4.
I can do that.
All right. I mean, the first one's kind of obvious. I'm going to take Ashton Jeanty at number 1 for the running backs. So who would be running back 2?
Oof. This is tough. Because I think it really depends on what you need in this draft.
I say let's do top 5 running backs. Let's just do top 5 running backs.
You know what? Even though he doesn't get as much love, you know who I'm going with number 2?
Oh, wait, he said in the NFL? I don't know. Ira, did you say in the NFL? NFL now. Okay, that's on me. NFL right now. Okay. Number 1, do I still get number 1?
Sure.
Man, I think you got to go with Saquon. You probably got to go with Saquon.
I think so too. Saquon number 1.
Okay.
Number 2, this one's a little bit of a toughie for me because there's a couple guys who I could go.
Yep.
I mean, if we're talking this past year, I can't go McCaffrey because he was injured the entire season.
But do you think he's a top 5 running back?
I still do.
I agree. Where are you going to put him, though? Like, I wouldn't want you to put McCaffrey at 2. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, that's not something I would want.
You know what? Standing the test of time, I'm still putting him at 2. Derrick Henry.
Okay. I mean, if you told me right now who's the last guy I want to try to tackle in the playoffs, I'm probably going to put up there with Derrick Henry. Number 3. Boy. Could go a bunch of different ways here. I'm thinking, I don't really want to put McCaffrey in here yet. I'm probably going to go with, I mean, you could go with a Bijan, a Jonathan Taylor. Oh, man. Jahmyr Gibbs would be interesting. What?
Dude, just look at Chit Chat.
I'm not going to look yet. Is it bad? What on earth am I looking at? I can't even tell you guys what I'm looking at on my screen. I think I'd get blocked. All right, I'm going to go with give me Bijan Robinson at number 3.
Okay.
So who's number 4?
Joe Mixon.
Dude. I can't get on board with that, but it's your pick. I don't think that you would pick Joe Mixon over, I don't know. He's a good back. He had to deal with a shitty offensive line last season.
And he still got over 1,000 yards. He missed a couple games too as well.
That's just that's a little bit of a backbreaker for me. I'm not going to lie to you. Do you think Ashton Jeanty could be a top?
Do you think Joe Mixon is better than Josh Jacobs right now?
Man. See, that would be the ultimate. It depends on what type of offense you're going to run. If you're going to run a more balanced attack, I do think that Mixon gives you a little bit more ability because I do think he's a better pass catcher. However, the ability to run between the tackles and do power football the way Jacobs does give you that, it's pretty solid. I mean, Jacobs to me isn't a top 5 back.
Yeah.
I also don't think Joe Mixon's a top 5 back.
I think
Jonathan Taylor's got to be up there. I'd probably put, even Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs, I actually think if he was an every down running back, would impress people a lot more.
If it was up to me, if I was 1, 3, and 5, and I was in your spot at 5, I would just put Lions running back.
But see, I don't think David Montgomery is top 5. I think them
combined, because it's you can't really grade them as a top 5 back because both those guys get half the workload. They split it pretty evenly. Of neither of them are bell cow type backs.
Sure, I see some people typing Jacobs. I don't think Jacobs is even close to a top 5 running back. There's a lot of good backs between.
I think he's close. What did he? Yeah, he had 1,300 yards last year.
He's a good running back. I just don't think he's top 5. I don't think he's top 5. I guess there's just so many Jacobs to me is in that realm of purgatory running backs. I would say between 5 and 10, 12, where you're I can make an argument with a bunch of these guys.
I think Mixon gives you more in the passing game than Jacobs.
Breece Hall is a no for me. James Cook is a no for me. I'll probably go with Jonathan Taylor then. Give me Jonathan Taylor at 5.
No Jahmyr Gibbs?
I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor is a lot better of a running back, but unfortunately he's also on a horrific team that just knows that they're going to stack the box, and that's all they can do.
Wow, that's crazy.
All right, let's go to Ryan Decker. Ira, appreciate the question. Again, every 50 that we get, that's what we're going to do. Top 5, it's up to you with what you decide to pick. Let's go to Ryan Decker. We get pick 3, and a third Giants get pick number 6 plus Mayer. We get Travis Hunter with a 3. What are your thoughts?
Get
first off,
third and a third. Yeah, you're not getting both. You're not trading 6 to 3, and you're also getting another pick. You're giving away a pick.
Yes, and for the Raiders to go up to the 3rd overall pick, I'd say you're either giving up a first-round pick in next year's draft
or your second.
Huh?
Or your second.
Or you're going to give up your second-round pick this year. And honestly, you're probably giving also up a guy like Michael Mayer. And that's just not what I'm interested in. And I just don't think people maybe have a good understanding of what it costs to move up in the draft. And no disrespect, Ryan, you obviously don't maybe have a great idea of what it would cost, but you're not going to get a third by moving up to 3, and all we're doing is we're swapping 6 and Mayer. That tells me that you think Mayer is worth more than a first-round pick.
Mitch, I don't know if you realize this, but you're apparently the reason why Jacobs left.
I don't think that that's the truth at all. But
it's because you dogged him. That's the reason why Jacobs left. It's not because he got offered a ton more money to go play for Green Bay. It's actually because he watched our YouTube channel.
Again, I don't love Jacobs for obvious reasons. I don't think that he's a very truthful human being. But also at the end of the day, he got more money to go play elsewhere. And if you're a running back in the league, that's what you're going to go do. I talked to his agent. His agent told me that there's no teams offering him a 4-year deal. And then he ended up getting a 4-year deal.
That's like somebody being like, Mitch, you're the reason why they got rid of the McRib.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll tell you this. I wish I had that amount of power around the Raiders. I wish I had that amount of power. I know we have a lot to say, and I know our voice is heard by Mark Davis and company, but thinking that I'm the reason why Jacobs didn't come back. Come on, man. Let's go to Suave. Chuggs, we are good. And the lie detector determines that was a lie. Should be a great name.
I mean, we'll both have to win our first round series, I believe, because Rockets are 2 seed, Lakers are 3 seed.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you this. I always root for good games when it comes to NBA playoff games. If it ends up being Lakers and Rockets, that's going to be a series that I look forward to. Warriors and Rockets, I don't know how that would be possible. Anything against the
Warriors
Rockets.
and Rockets might be round 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because depending on how these last couple games, Rockets are the 2 seed, and then past the Lakers, it's like 4 through 8 are still all up for grabs.
And I don't think Tom Telesco is the reason why Jacobs left. Again, Jacobs wanted to get paid, and Jacobs got paid. That's why he left. Mando, who's everybody got at
WrestleMania?
Okay, I don't know. Who you got?
I don't see a world where John Cena loses, but maybe he's going out and he's, really going to be heel and, loses and then just beats up Cody. I think Cena wins, though. I think Cena wins.
Cena? All right,
yeah.
Chuck's going to go Cena. I'm going to go Cena as well. I believe that is all the super chats that we have so far. We got 630 people right now tuned in to the Raiders Report. If you haven't already.
We can't start the first segment, though, until we get to 200 likes. We're at 199.
Who's going to be like 200? Who's going to be like 200?
Type me if you're going to be like 200.
Also, again, if you want to get in for the duck race at the end of today's show, it is a $20 Venmo. At Mitchell Renz 365, you'd have a shot to win right now $70 here on today's program. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about some...
I don't know who it was. James Cole said it was me. Jose Ramirez said it was me. Ian Coy said it was me. King Zay said me as well. I don't know. Who do you think it was? Who was like 200? James Butts?
James Butts seems like a guy, and I cannot lie. I think it's James Butts. John Cena is my favorite wrestler since Undertaker retired. Is it Undertaker? Or is that one word?
The Undertaker. So Jack Lotteray, another one of the wrestling guys in the office. The question was, does Cena beat Cody in WrestleMania? I said so too. I think 100%. Cena wins.
Yeah, 100%.
Jack says 100%.
And if he doesn't, he's absolutely going to just totally slaughter Cody after the match.
Yeah, I mean, for the story, he has to. Did you hear? I'm going to cause him for that one.
Really? Oh, sick invite.
She surprised me with tickets.
Hey, that's a keeper, Jack. Hopefully,
Cena is the last match for him. I just don't follow wrestling all that well, so all the wrestling questions, you guys are just going to have to direct them to Chuggs.
I don't know.
All right, y'all, here's what I want to do. I want to get into the first segment here on today's show. I'm going to talk about one player that I think that the Raiders are going to extend this offseason. I'll also kind of give you how much I think it's going to ultimately cost for the Silver and Black. Then we're going to get into some of the draft rumors, some of the top 30 visits that the Silver and Black have had.
Woo!
Oh, excuse me. We're going to break down some of the offensive line draft targets by each round. This has been a segment that we've kind of done over the past few weeks just because I always get asked so many players around round 1. But let's talk about some players that the Raiders have their eyes on in round 2, round 3, round 4 at that offensive line position. And then at the very, very end of today's show, if you want to get your questions, comments on, it's hashtag Raiders, or you can super chat. Big luck. Mitch with the dab. God bless me. You ready? There's a lot of dabbing. All right, y'all. Hopefully, Joel Rios, I saw you just got in as well. Let me write that one down. And friendly reminder, if anybody bangs on Venmo, you add $50 to the duck race if you're trying to get this pot a little bit bigger. Coming up right now, let's get into the latest around the Silver and Black. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up on today's show, we're going to get into some Jakobi Meyers extension rumors, plus the Raiders news that you need to know today. I'll admit, some of this is from yesterday, and I apologize again. I was really sick yesterday, and that's why I was unable to go live. but that's why we decided to go live today here on the Raiders Report. Let's first talk about Jakobi Meyers, and I'm not saying that it's been reported that the Raiders are working on a Jakobi Meyers extension, but if it was me and if I was in the room with John Spytek and Pete Carroll, I would go, all right, now that we got the Geno Smith contract extension done, what are we trying to do now? We should now be trying to give a contract extension to Jakobi Meyers or Kolton Miller. I'll be very frank. I'm going to make a video around why I think the Raiders should also give Miller a contract extension. That's going to be next week, but if I have to prioritize a certain player, I'm going to prioritize Jakobi Meyers simply because he's a little bit younger, and I could admit that it might be harder for you to be able to find a Kolton Miller replacement than Meyers, but at the end of the day, if you really did not want to extend Kolton, you could go out and you could draft an offensive lineman at 6, and I don't think it's as easy to find a wide receiver replacement at pick number 6. So if you're like me and you want the silver and black to give Jakobi Meyers a contract extension, I want you to click that like button right now, because whether you agree with everything that this organization does, I can't say this often, but I do think if you sat down in a room with 100 Raiders fans and said, do you want Jakobi Meyers to be a part of this team for the next 3 years, that next window, if you will, with Pete Carroll? I think all 100 Raiders fans would say it because they don't make guys like Jakobi Meyers, especially at that wide receiver position. So let's go into why I think that the Raiders could end up extending Jakobi. The first reason, and it's the biggest reason, it's the contract. And I brought up why in this year's past, the offseason a few months ago, why I believe that the Raiders could end up giving Jakobi a contract extension. And he's got $0 million left guaranteed on that deal with only 1 year left, right? He's going to be a free agent in the year 2026. However, though, I would give him that 2-year extension, make him all the way through the year 2027, because he already has 2 void years on his contract. Friendly reminder, Jakobi restructured his contract earlier this past season, and that added 2 void years. If you also remember with Max Crosby, he had 3 void years left on his deal, and the Raiders used those 3 void years, and they just had it a part of that new contract extension. If we're going to be paying Jakobi no matter what into the year 2027, I'd rather let's give him a deal, a team-friendly deal that also is friendly to Jakobi, and then let's lock him in for the Raiders for the next 2 years, technically the next 3 years. So if I'm sitting down with Jakobi's agent, I'm going to give you a 2-year deal, $40 million, and it's going to be fully guaranteed. Because I worry if you don't give him fully guaranteed, this number could actually go up a little bit more. But that puts his new deal at a 3-year, $55 million deal where he's making about $18.3 million. At the time, right now, he would be the 22nd highest paid wide receiver per year right now. And I think if you were to ask a lot of fans out there, like, where exactly do you rank Jakobi Meyers in terms of NFL wide receivers? I think the 22nd best is a pretty fair overall judgment. But then think about how good of this deal is going to look next season. And then in 2027. And in 2026 and in 2027, I think is when the Raiders are really going to go for that Super Bowl window. They're trying to get Rome built, but they're really trying to have Rome be ready to rock by 2026 and in 2027. I think it's also the perfect offseason to extend Jakobi after a weak free agency class. A lot of times when you see these receivers in free agency get big-time deals, and I get it, Jamar Chase got a gigantic deal. That's not really who I'm comparing. But when you just consider the wide receivers that were in this year's free agency pool, I don't really think that a lot of guys got big deals. Somebody might say, oh, well, what about Stephon Diggs, 3 for $69? I almost wonder if a guy like Stephon Diggs would have rathered a $40 million guaranteed deal for 2 years instead of basically it was a 1-year prove-it deal at 26 with some upside, for those remaining 2 years. Because this was such a weak free agency class and because it's a weak draft class, I think it's a great offseason to get an extension done with Jakobi Meyers. Let's go to the next reason why I would say that an extension should try to get done here. You have the money in order to do it, right? And I actually think one of the ways that you could sit down and maybe just have your fans calm down a little bit, and maybe calm down is not the right word, but there are a group of Raider fans that are like, why aren't the Raiders going out and doing X, Y, Z? We still have all this money. We do still have a lot of money. You got third most according to Over the Cap, second most according to Spytek, and both of them kind of do contracts a little bit differently. The message here is you got somewhere between $42 million to spend for your salary cap space. Plus, that's plenty of money to extend Meyers. And I've also said in years past, like, you could structure it where you could save more money this year. Or I think the way that they honestly would do it is they might potentially front load it, and then that way in 2026 and in 2027, Jakobi's making even less money, which then gives you more ability in those 2 years to go out and sign more big-time players to help you chase that Super Bowl ring. Let's go to the next reason here of why I think that the Raiders could extend Jakobi Meyers. He is a legit wide receiver too. I love Jakobi Meyers and everything that he stands for. However, I don't know if I can really call him a wide receiver 1. You might be able to call him a wide receiver 1B, but if he's your true number 1, and, even like, think about the Raiders where, those aren't right. Those, I don't know what you're showing me on that left side. But even for, like, the Raiders standpoint, like, you know that he's a good receiver. We know that he's a good receiver, and we know how talented that he can be. But even the Raiders earlier this offseason were talking about how they are looking for a true number 1 because they don't really value Jakobi as that true number 1 wide receiver overall. So knowing that this is a guy that last season had 87 catches, had 1,000 yards, had 4 touchdowns. The year before that was a very consistent receiver. Hell, over the past 4 years, he's been a very consistent receiver on some bad Patriots teams. Let's just call it what it is. Some bad Raiders teams. Imagine now you give him Geno Smith, and then imagine what he's going to be able to cook up even with Chip Kelly. I mean, he's dealing with Luke Getsy. He's dealing with Mick Lombardi. He's dealing with all these other offensive coordinators, all these different head coaches that, quite frankly, I don't really think use guys in the right way. And it's funny because on our live show today, think about how much we were talking about Josh Jacobs. Even though Josh Jacobs isn't my favorite human being, I do respect what he has to say from time to time. And for Jacobs, literally this offseason, and I get it, he doesn't have to say this stuff, but the fact that he said something positive about the Raiders, and if you followed anything about Jacobs, he's been throwing the Raiders under the bus left and right since he went to Green Bay, and maybe he feels some type of way. That's up to him. But he literally called Jakobi Meyers one of the most underrated players in the NFL, and I can't agree with that statement enough, right? And I really, really, truly mean that. So last season, again, he had 87 catches, over 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns. He didn't have any drops. That's just depending on who you look at that does stats. Some people say he doesn't have any drops. Most of the people that we look at here doesn't have any drops. But last season, 71 catches, 807 yards. 2022, he's been consistently one of the top receivers in the NFL, and he's also been, that key word, consistent. When you know that you have somebody that's consistent and fits everything that you ask him to do, that's somebody that I'm willing to pay some money to. So let me know down below. This is going to be the pinned comment here on today's show. Will the Raiders end up extending Jakobi Meyers this offseason? If you think that they are going to extend him, type extend down below. If you think that they're like, nah, I'm going to pass, I'm going to pay him his $15 million this season, and then I'm going to let him hit the open market free agency next offseason. That's okay. That's your decision. My answer is extend, and if you're on board with me, I hope that you type extend also down below. So for me personally, again, I said I'd give him a 2-year, $40 million deal, which gives him now 3 years for $55 million. I am team extend Jakobi Meyers. Let's go to the next reason here of why I think that he could end up getting this deal done with the Las Vegas Raiders. He is a great fit with Geno Smith, and just like we've talked about some of these other wide receivers that you could add in free agency, a Tyler Lockett, a Keenan Allen, right? Like, we know that these guys could be good fits with the Raiders. Here's another player that I know for a fact would be a great fit with Geno. It's Jakobi Meyers. So if you gave Geno Smith essentially a 2-year deal, now he's got a 3-year deal, I'm trying to tie Jakobi to Geno. Over the past 3 seasons, according to Warren Sharp, Geno Smith is the NFL's most accurate quarterback over the past 3 seasons. Meyers was the only receiver in the NFL last season with over 100 targets to not have a single drop, which, again, there are some people that look at stats and stat sites out there that say he did have 1 drop, but there are a lot of stat sites out there that say he doesn't have any drops, and I'm just going to be real with you, right? Also, when you look at Geno's tape, and I get not everybody's going to watch Geno's tape. I've told people to do it. If you haven't done it by now, you're probably never going to do it. But the amount of times Geno relied on JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba, on 3rd down situations, on just critical moments where Geno knew that he was going to put the ball on target, and that ball needed to be in the right place at the right time, and you just needed somebody that had sure hands that could catch the football. I'm telling you this right now. If Chip Kelly, if the Raiders are smart, they're going to look at what Seattle did with JSN over the past 2 seasons, and that's how they're going to try to implement what Jakobi does. I do think Jackson Smith is a better athlete. However, though, the way that they can run route trees, the way that they're fluid, the way that they just honestly present their routes, It's all very similar. They're great possession receivers, and I know Geno Smith and frickin' Jakobi Meyers going to have great chemistry this upcoming season. I got another reason coming up here in just a moment, but today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Last-minute tickets at that lowest price guarantee, and Game Time now is the official ticketing partner of the Raiders Report. And I love this time of the year because playoffs, they're right around the corner for the NBA, NHL, plus baseball is finally back. If you're trying to go to your favorite sporting events, Game Time is the app for you. Last-minute tickets and zone deals, views from all your seats in the venue, lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection. Probably my favorite thing, though, about Game Time is the Game Time picks. You can save up to 60% off by buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and so much more. Game Time picks make last-minute ticket buying easier than ever by quickly highlighting the best deals in the stadium. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, that's CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today, and if you're wondering what time is it, it's game time. It's also time for the Raiders to build that culture, and that's what they're trying to do, and that's what Jakobi does. Like, think about today's day and age for wide receivers in the NFL. And I feel like when you talk about wide receivers, the one word that gets thrown out there a lot is diva. And there's a lot of divas at the wide receiver position. That's not Jakobi Meyers. Jakobi is one of the hardest working players in the NFL, and that has been talked about from New England, from all these different coaching standpoints, and a lot of the times when a team like the Raiders has the amount of turnover that they do. And it's not a secret. We've had GMs, we've had head coaches, we've had offensive coordinators, we've had quarterbacks, we've had a lot of change. So sometimes when you see a player that just deals with a lot of change and they're just always around on one staff or they're always around on one team despite all the changes around them, it's probably because that guy is a great person to be around. Also, one of the other things that Jakobi does, that let's just be honest, Davante wasn't willing to do. Davante cared about one person and one person only. That was Davante Adams. What Jakobi Meyers is so good at is anything you ask him to do, he's just going to go out there and he's going to do it. Why? Because he is a professional. And finding professionals that work really hard, that are willing to do whatever it takes at a diva-filled position is such an important character trait that if you're a team like the Raiders and Pete Carroll and John Spytek are talking about all these guys, we want guys that love football. We want guys that are going to help build a culture. You got a one-year deal left with Jakobi. Every time the Raiders have put together a 3-year deal, Max Crosby, that means they're tying him in with Pete Carroll because Pete Carroll's got a 3-year deal, 4-year potential deal on top of that, right? But Max Crosby, 3-year deal. Adam Butler, 3-year deal. Geno Smith, 3-year deal. When you're looking at a lot of the deals that the Raiders have, guys that they think are a part of this culture build, they are slapping on the ability to have them for 3 years. My point is, I don't see how anybody from this organization can preach everything that they have preached about what they want in a Raider and what they're trying to build for the future and you not give Jakobi Meyers a contract extension. Maybe the money that I presented is a little bit too rich for some of the people out there, but I do really think if you give him money now, he's only 28, 29 years old. He's going to be a very consistent receiver over the next 3 years, obviously regarding injury. But again, what he gives you on and off the field, I think for a team like the Raiders, is everything that you could have asked for because he's the complete opposite of somebody like Davante Adams. Coming up next here, let's get into the Raiders news that I would say that the nation needs to know. And some of this stuff popped up yesterday, and again, I apologize for me being sick. Usually, I am always on top of everything, but I don't know what the hell happened to me yesterday. I was really banged up. We had a lot of chills. It was not good. Speaking of chills, this guy is gigantic, and it gives me chills thinking about him in a silver and black uniform. Yaha Black, he is probably one of the most massive human beings in the NFL draft. I mean, you're talking about, we have him listed here at 6'5". There's some sites out there that have him listed at 6'6". I've seen up there close to 340, 350 pounds. And this is one of those dudes where if you believe in Rob Leonard, you should be all about this because he is a massive, and I mean massive nose tackle with a 7-foot wingspan, and his hands are humongous. When he hits somebody in the chest, you almost hear a thud and an echo. I will admit, though, he's really just a space eater right now. And with proper coaching, I do think that he has some serious upside because you can't build a body like this guy. I mean, it's just a massive human being. He is a run stopper, but the problem is he offers you basically nothing in the passing game. For the Raiders right now, though, I know for a fact that they're looking for an extra nose tackles, and they could potentially be looking for some nose tackles on day 3. Yaya Black here, he could be somebody we're looking for on day 3. Let's go to another player here that had a local visit for the Raiders. I'll admit, I have reached out to a few people that I usually talk to, and I can't confirm whether or not this was a top 30 visit or if this was just a local visit for the Las Vegas Raiders, but Ethan Garbers had a visit with the Silver and Black. And this is interesting to me because, no, I don't think that this guy is going to compete for anything legit, but I do know that the Raiders have used the word compete multiple times out there, and the person that I would say if the Raiders end up bringing Ethan Garbers, not going to be somebody that you draft, probably going to be somebody that you bring in as a UDFA, and you let that UDFA compete with Carter Bradley. And I hope that the Raiders do it. I hope that the Raiders literally bring in competition for every single player and let them go out there and compete. But Chip Kelly recruited them to UCLA, also spent 3 seasons with Chip from 2021 to 2023, and Garbers himself this offseason credited Chip Kelly with his development. But because he is a great leader, which has been something that Kelly himself has even said, that multiple other coaches have said about Garbers, I could see the Raiders trying to bring him in and have him go, you know what, this is going to be the dude that we have compete with Carter Bradley for that practice squad quarterback spot. The final name, and this is a big one, Maxwell Harrison, somebody that's going to be a potentially a round 1 pick. I think he's going to be more of a round 2 pick. Probably in the top 50 is where he's going to land. I'll admit, I did not really think that the Raiders were going to be all too interested in Harrison simply because he's somebody that is a really big liability in the running game. And yes, he offers you a lot of versatility. And that versatility is what the Raiders want. And for somebody that's looking for a quickier twitch, Nate Hobbs is maybe how I'll say it. Dude ran a 4.28 40. He's got great ball skills. But if you're looking for an all-around corner, somebody that wants to be, in that running game, that's just not going to be Maxwell Harrison's game. But if you also know that you have Jeremy Chinn, you have an Landon Roberts, you have an Isaiah Paul-Amau, and you've already had a lot of these other, we'll call them safety hybrids that can help you out in the running game, if you put Maxwell Harrison in the right scheme and you let him be an athlete and you let him do exactly what his body is meant to do. And again, that's just be an athlete, man in zone. He's going to be a much better of a player because he also has got some of that, Jack Jones swagger. For anybody that misses Jack Jones, Maxwell Harrison is a much better player than what Jack Jones is. That I can freaking promise you, man. Coming up last year, it's going to be every Raiders top 30 visit so far. And again, these are just the ones that I personally have been able to confirm. If there's another 1 or 2, because from my math, there are only 2 more top 30 visits that the Raiders could potentially have. We are at 28 if, again, everything that I have confirmed is correct. Before we get into all of those, I do want to give a shout-out to Raider Hype, King Shab, Eddie123, Christopher Leonard, and Mr. Raider. I saw some of the comments that you guys made on the video that I dropped yesterday, and, not every comment is always a positive comment, and for me personally, it's not that I need every comment to be positive. That's not truth at all. What I love is when people put thought and when they put actually their opinion and they put a well-thought-out comment in one of my videos and then people respond to it because that tells me you took time to watch my video and you took time to actually put in a thoughtful comment down below, which believe me when I say this, it does mean a lot to me. If you guys take time out of your day to watch my stuff, I'm always going to do my best to show love to the people that do that. So to you 5, I greatly appreciate you guys going down and watching the shows and commenting on the videos. So let's get into the Raiders top 30 visit tracker. I try to do this by position, and as you can see right now, you got a lot of quarterbacks, running backs up there on screen. 8 QBs had top 30 visits. Again, I can't confirm Ethan Garber, so just keep that one in mind. From the next slate, we got Mason Graham. He's from Michigan. I don't know why that logo didn't pull, but Jalen Noel, 2 wide receivers, some offensive linemen in there as well. And then, you got a few linebackers that the Raiders decided to also end up meeting with from a top 30 visit tracker standpoint. Overall, we've had 28 players from top to bottom that the Raiders have met with. Jalen Noel is a very interesting player, no doubt about that. I think even somebody along the lines of a Charles Grant is going to be somebody that I talk a little bit more about today for those of you that are watching this live. But then also, we have 8 more players that the Raiders have officially met with on a top 30 visit. Jalen Walker, I listed as a linebacker because the Raiders had him listed. Not the Raiders, but he was listed as a linebacker. You could technically say edge. You could say outside linebacker. If it was up to me, I would use Jalen Walker as an edge because I don't think he's good enough to be a linebacker in the NFL. But if you allow him to be an athlete, he's going to be a really special player. So far, if my math is mathing correctly, the top 30 visit tracker for the Raiders, 8 quarterbacks, 4 cornerbacks, 3 offensive linemen, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 2 edges, 2 defensive tackles, 3 linebackers, and then 2 safeties is how we end up rounding out the Raiders' top 30. So you got 2 more players that the Raiders can meet with unless I am just simply missing a name. And if I am, again, I'm sorry for missing yesterday. I always try to do my best to stay on top of everything going on around the Las Vegas Raiders. But if you made it this far in the video and you want the Raiders to give an extension to Jakobi Meyers, I hope that you all take time to share this one because I know we have a loud voice, and I know we can be really loud together. And Jakobi, he deserves the contract extension. What up, Ivan Perez? Yo, given Rubio and I have come so far, I say first takes 1K, second takes 600. If Rubio is down, shout out my wife and kids for watching back home in SoCal. I mean, Rubio, if you're here and if you're down for this deal, I'm going to let y'all decide that. I mean, you and I were talking about this the other day. It's like Mr. Beast, right? The Beast games.
See, me personally, and you know what? I don't want to sway if Rubio's in here. I don't want to sway his answer to this.
Okay.
But it's March Madness.
I hear you. I hear you.
And it's like I almost want that race to be so crazy because it's like it kind of takes a little bit out of the race, you know?
Maybe. It does. I mean, but at the same time, you know, like, I mean, I'm not going to hate on somebody for wanting to do it.
It's like Deal or No Deal, and you have $1 million in 1,000, and there's the banker. It's like you almost want to be like, no, I want to go for the middle.
Mo Shab, I got you in for the duck race, $20 Venmo for a chance to win $90 here on the Raiders Report. Ivan, I'll see if Rubio's here. I messaged Rubio yesterday, though, and I didn't get a response for him. Though, again, I haven't really checked since yesterday.
If he doesn't respond, it's winner takes all.
Okay, that's fair. If he doesn't respond, I agree. It's winner takes all. Let's go to the next one. Rolling in here, which I think is from Suave, both of them. If Shedeur is available at 6, I'm taking him hands down. We of all teams should not want to deal with a quarterback issue again. We are his best chance at success. I might not totally disagree that we are his best chance at success.
At great success.
I guess my only problem with this statement is, though, you're taking a player that you're not going to use for 2 years. I mean, you technically could use him in 2026, but I don't see a world where Shedeur Sanders is better than Geno Smith in 2025 or in 2026. Now, I already know that Shedeur would already be like, no matter what, he would sit for 1 year, and like that's what this team is going to end up doing. For a team that wants to win right now, that's why I don't think that they end up doing it. And I also think, when you talk about risk, right? Like, out of all the players that you could potentially take at 6, the most risky player that you could take at 6 is Shedeur Sanders. Now, if you're a team where, you want to make a lot of money and maybe the safest pick in terms of money invested, like if Mark Davis takes Shedeur Sanders, there's no other player on the draft board that guarantees dollar bills like Shedeur, right? Where, Chuggs and I have had this debate, and we've told y'all, like, if you told me which player do I think helps the Raiders Report YouTube channel the most, it's Shedeur Sanders, and I don't even think it's close. Like, I'm not kidding you when I say that. I don't think it's close. I think what Shedeur would do for this YouTube channel is here. Ashton Jeanty, Travis Hunter are probably here, and then everybody else is down here. But if my job here is to tell you what I think is the best case for the Raiders to help them win football games, I don't think it's Shedeur Sanders at 6. I really don't. Quite frankly, I think the Raiders know that. Now, maybe they still end up going Shedeur. Here's the thing, like, I got to be a part of the plan, and that's how I've continuously said this entire offseason is I got to see the plan. I will admit, after seeing the way that they structured Geno Smith's contract, it is easier for them to get out of it in 2026 than I originally thought. But just because of how close of a relationship Geno and Pete Carroll have, I do really think Pete's going to give Geno at least 2 years. Unless Geno is an absolute dumpster fire of a situation. And if that's the case, then you're probably picking in the top 5 again next year in a much better quarterback class. I really don't think Shedeur Sanders is going to be the pick. But again, I've been wrong before. Plus, it's literally easier to trade/obtain literally any other position to build a top-tier team. And with his accuracy and O-line, I'm sold. It's just my opinion.
The only problem is this, and kind of like you just touched on, is that
Shedeur doesn't make you a better team in 2025.
Well, that and with Geno, if you actually want to give Geno a shot, taking another quarterback in the top 10, I mean, look how it did with the Falcons last year. I bet with Kirk Cousins, it probably would have helped him to have a top-tier, receiver.
Anything.
A top-tier anything instead of Michael Penix breathing down his neck. And then you bring in a veteran guy, somebody who's a little, on the wrong side of 30 in Geno.
Yep.
What does that tell him of, oh, yeah, as soon as he has a bad game or two, which I know we all, we all fan different ways, but I know there's 700 people in the chat right now. I know if Geno had a rough 2-game stretch and the Raiders drafted Shedeur Sanders, I would say if out of these 700 people in the chat, about 400 would be calling for Shedeur to start.
Yeah, and, I don't want people to think that I don't like Shedeur. Like, I think I like Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback, and I like the confidence that he brings to the table. I love the swagger that he has, and probably the most impressive thing that I think that he brings that people kind of hate on him for it, and, it is what it is. But, confidence is what you want in a quarterback, right? Like, it was probably one of the reasons why I didn't really love Derek Carr, because I felt like when Derek Carr got into a huddle, and, you got to be a leader of men, and Derek is a super nice human being. Nobody's ever going to deny that, but I don't really think that Derek Carr has that dog in him, right? Where I think Geno Smith has that dog in him. And I also think that Shedeur, he is nothing but confident. And when you have somebody that's nothing but confident, that is what you need. Also, there's not many kids, not many college quarterbacks that you can make an argument have already dealt with more pressure than what they're going to face in the NFL. And it's going to build and build and build for Shedeur. But the amount of pressure that young man has had from his pro day, from 2 past seasons of college football, even back at Jackson State, for him to be able to answer the call and get better and better and better every single season, I hear people why they want to take Shedeur. But I don't think, like, the mindset of it has to be Shedeur at 6, that's a crazy statement to me. Because that's a statement that you make if you really don't think that you have any confidence whatsoever in Geno Smith. And I know that not everybody's going to have confidence in Geno, but I would say people who really know how good Geno can be, I don't see how you would want Shedeur Sanders. And again, it's not me not wanting Shedeur. It's I have a lot more confidence in Geno Smith than I would say that you do. Which, how about this to the nation out there that's watching right now? We got almost 700 people here in the building. Do you want the Raiders to draft Shedeur Sanders at pick number 6? Why for yes and for no? Because, there's a lot of people that I respect their opinion. One of my guy Rundown. Rundown's one of the better content creators out there that, from time to time, I'll pop in, I'll hear what he's saying. He's a good dude. He's a big Shedeur fan. And I know a lot of people that are big Shedeur fans. I like Shedeur Sanders. It's just, it would confuse me based on the way that the Raiders have gone about this offseason, if that makes any sense to me. But I know for a fact that Tom Brady loves him, right? I know for a fact that Dion would want Shedeur to be a Raider. But I also am a big believer where there's smoke, there's fire, and there's so much smoke right now around Shedeur going to the Saints. And I think the Saints give him an opportunity to start right away because they got a quarterback in Derek Carr that's a team that, that team don't even really want Derek Carr. The Raiders have a quarterback that they want and that they view can be their starter for the next 2 to 3 years. And that's a big difference there. How many catches for Jakobi Meyers this year with Geno Smith as the quarterback 1? This is an interesting question. Let me know down below. Let's get some answers in here. I see Zalesbo says no. Sherry Goat's going to go no. Gilbert Moreno, no. Joseph Scott, no. I would say in terms of the Shedeur question, 80% of the votes that are coming in are no, the Raiders should not draft him at pick number 6. Let's go to Aaron Lewis. Do you go wide receiver or cornerback in the second round? I don't think that you have to limit yourself to just these two positions, right? And the bigger question, I guess, to you, Aaron, is what do they do in the first round? Because if you're going to go based on this, I would say that they probably went Jeanty or an offensive lineman. The wide receivers and corners in this area, I would say somebody like a Jalen Noel. Watch out for him. Jaden Higgins is another name I'll throw out there. Trey Amos, Siobhan Revel. Benjamin Morrison is somebody I like, though I've seen some people be pretty low on Morrison. I wonder if he slides a little bit to round 3.
Yeah, that hip injury. Well,
the hip injury is scaring some people. And I actually think that there are some people that think that Morrison's going to fall to round 3. I've even seen round 4. Wow, some big NFL news. Drew Lock going to the Seahawks. Drew Lock back to the Hawks. I also think Xavier Watts, who is a free safety, could be an interesting pick there for the Raiders. But if you ask me out of those two positions, wide receiver or corner, which one's a bigger need? I'd actually say wide receiver is a bigger need than corner, which might actually surprise some people out there. Did you get my Duck Race Venmo, Mitch? Gunny, I believe I did. I think you were one of the very first people. Yeah, you were literally the first person. Crash Dog, you in. What up, Bad Driver? Man, I love the coverage you guys do on the Raiders. Thank you so much. Gotta ask, what teams can see picking Jeanty before the Raiders? Also, would you rather have Josh Jacobs or Jeanty if both in year 1? I mean, if both were in year 1, I'm going to go Jeanty. And it's not I don't even think that that's a knock on Jacobs at all. It's just, to me, Jeanty is a better running back prospect than what Josh Jacobs is and was. So because of that, I think I would go Jeanty there. In terms of which team do I think could draft Jeanty before the Raiders? Really, the only team that I would say would be Jacksonville, but I really don't think that there's a single team in the NFL draft that would take Jeanty first, because it's not going to be Tennessee. They're going to go Cam Ward. Sounds like Cleveland's going to go Travis Hunter. The Giants probably aren't going to go that route simply because of they saw how the whole Saquon Barkley thing went. I just see them going Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter.
It really starts with the Patriots at 4.
That would shock me.
And then the Jags at 5.
Now, maybe a team tries to trade up.
The Bears.
I mean, I would say the Bears are a team to watch out for that could try to get aggressive. And they've already made a lot of trades this offseason. And they've made 3 trades this offseason for interior linemen.
Could you see the Jets trade Breece Hall and that first-round pick and maybe another pick to move up ahead of the Raiders to get him?
It would shock me only because, and again, like this is like big smoke screen season. I forget who it was on the Jets the other day was talking about like what their plan is for running back, and they talked about going with like a 3 running back approach.
Be their head coach.
Was it their head coach? I don't remember if it was their head coach or not. But
Aaron Glenn.
Oh, yeah. What'd you say?
Aaron Glenn.
Aaron Glenn. What up, E-Rich Itch? What's up, Mitch? Long-time watcher since the 2020 draft. Appreciate that, man. Is it delusional to believer the Raiders can compete for a Super Bowl in 3 years? I don't think that's crazy at all.
Look at the Commanders.
I was just gonna say, like, look at a team like the Washington Commanders, and what's funny is
the Texans.
Texans again. You got to be able to get your quarterback. But also, what the Commanders did last season is what the Raiders are doing this season, where they didn't really go out and make too many big splashes. They made like 1 or 2 big splashes, and then they just added a bunch of players that they thought were the perfect building blocks for what they were trying to do, and they had a lot of success early. Obviously, Cliff and Jaden Daniels were unbelievable, but yeah, man, I think that any NFL team, given a 3-year window, when you have the right quarterback in place, can go out there and they can compete. And, to anybody that doesn't believe in Geno Smith, I'll always say this, like, you got to look at the good, you got to look at the bad, but Geno Smith in a dome is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Geno Smith in a dome and 14-game sample size, 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, a quarterback rating of 110, and the Raiders have 12 games out of their 17 this season indoors, right? And then if you give him a better offensive line, Geno over the past 3 years, when the team averaged 4.0 yards per carry, which is not even a lot of yards per carry, Seattle was 21-10. Geno is a winner, whether people want to believe it or not. And I think also you just got to be able to make the dance. If you can get into the playoffs and you got a running back like Jeanty, and you're like, holy shit, man, I got to try to tackle this guy in January and February, that's a very daunting task. But then I also believe that we can make this run because this is the best coaching staff that we've had. And I do honestly believe Patrick Graham's one of the better DCs in the NFL. I think Chip Kelly's one of the better OCs in the NFL. Pete Carroll's got a long track record of being successful. There are still a ton, and I mean a ton of holes. And I'm not going to sit up here and say I think the Raiders can compete for a Super Bowl in this year. But in 3 years from now, yeah, you just got to hit a few of your picks, and you just got to make a few of the right signings, and you can do a lot of those right things. Why the hell not? All right, coming up next here on the show, we are going to get into a segment around offensive linemen that the Raiders can target in each round of the 2025 NFL Draft. I've kind of noticed it looks like today is going to be a kind of a tame show. It's all good. I did say at the beginning of today's show, if we got 10 bangs, I would go live over the weekend, and I don't expect every show to get wild, but I do always try to throw out deals out there. So just putting that one back out there into the universe again. Can we show the deals one more time? And then if we don't get any, it's all good. I won't bother you guys with them. It's just Friday, Thursday days are days where we like to let our hair down a little bit, have some drinks, and have a good time. But I know that not everybody's always down, and believe me, it's totally good. So today's deals are this. Every $20 Venmo that you send in, you're going to have a chance to win some money. As it stands right now, it's a $20 Venmo for a chance to win $90. If you send in a $50 Venmo like Ira Jackson did earlier today, it's your top 5. You get to pick the top 5. Chuggs and I are going to sit down. We're going to debate it. And this is a game that Brandon Jasper used to like to play a lot, so it's top 5. Every hundo we get is a beer bong and a bang for the April Bang race, which right now as it stands, Josh I's got 7, Navman's got 3, Yoda's got 3, Blinky's got 2, DD Natman's got 1, Blaine Craig has got 1. Every $100 Venmo we get, you get a bang, plus we're going to add $50 to that, to the duck race. So hypothetically, if somebody were to send that in, the duck race now would be up to what, 140? If we get 10 bangs, I will give you guys an extra weekend show, and it would be either me joining another Raiders podcast or another Raiders YouTube channel, or it would be me just going live on my Instagram account at Mitchell Renz 365. So the next segment that we got coming up here on today's show is going to be around some offensive linemen that the Raiders have their eyes on. I know John Spytek is a big offensive lineman guy, and we're always going to talk about linemen on this show because I'm somebody that believes in winning in the trenches. However, I feel like a lot of times we just concentrate only on the top players in the draft, and it makes sense why we do it. But I also want to be able to break down each round, since the Raiders have a pick in every round, of which offensive lineman you get. What's up? I did not. What are you showing me? What are you showing me? Oh, my God. That's terrible. People are just. I did a project in high school on Scooby-Doo.
So what I just showed Mitch is on Twitter, Dallas Media Guy just reported renowned NFL trainer Delphonte Diamond has been sentenced to 25 years in Texas confinement for aggravated sexual assault of a child. Diamond, nephew of Karl Malone, had to throw that in there. Trained dozens of NFL players, including Cowboys wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, while he was holding out last offseason. He also has pictures with Keon Coleman, Xavier Worthy. Apparently, he works with a ton of NFL wide receivers.
I mean, for somebody to get 25 years, that's got to be really bad. What I was going to say is when I was in high school, I did a project on, it was literally, the project was on Scooby-Doo and the life lesson that it told you, which the worst monsters in the world are people. And again, I don't know, for you to get 25 years sexual assault, that's no way that's going to be good. I don't know all the details to it. I don't usually like to talk about things in that nature that I don't know about, but I think Scooby-Doo proved to me that the worst people in the world are people. The worst monsters in the world are people. And that was a project that I did, and if anybody wants to steal that for their high school, go ahead and steal it. Because it's the truth.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean,
I don't want to read it, dude. I don't want to know yet.
Brian Thomas Jr., CeeDee Lamb, Marvin Harrison Jr. Hot seat for me, Tank Dell.
Not great. Not great. All right, let's get into the next segment here, and then we're going to keep on rocking and rolling here on today's show. Got a thumbs up. Samuel, how you doing? You ready? You guys ready? Coming up, let's talk about the trenches and some of these offensive linemen that the Raiders could have their eyes on. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and we all know John Spytek, Pete Carroll, they value the trenches, and I believe that it is very likely that the Silver and Black end up taking at least one offensive lineman in the 2025 NFL Draft. So coming up here on the show, I have all of the options that the Raiders could be looking at in each round of the 2025 Draft. Since the Raiders have 9 picks, and since we have a pick in every single round, you're going to see different draft prospects in all of the rounds here. So first, I want to talk about the Raiders' offensive line because I do think that this is a much better group than what they actually get credit for. I think that their front 5, and whether you wanted to have Jordan Meredith, whether you want to have Alex Kappa in there as a starter, Dylan Parham, we can all fight and bicker about what that starting 5 ends up looking like. But I do have a lot of confidence at least that we have 6 linemen that you could put out there at any given moment that could go out there and they could compete for you. So because of John Spytek, we are going to talk about some linemen that the Raiders could take at pick number 6 in round 1. And literally just Spytek literally the other day was like, y'all know how much I love offensive linemen, and anybody that watches the show is going to know how much I love Armin Membu. And he played right tackle the past 3 years, so you wouldn't really need to kick over Kolton Miller compared to somebody like a Will Campbell. I believe that he has the highest upside out of any lineman in the draft who's ready to start day 1. There has been a lot of rumors about him potentially going to the New England Patriots in front of the Las Vegas Raiders, but this is a dude that loves to compete. I think he loves to embarrass people. He had a 90.4 overall PFF grade, and at 6'3", 314 pounds, the athletic ability that Membu gives you, and this is not a knock on DJ Glaze. This is me just simply going, can I improve on the offensive line? And that answer is yes. You add Membu to the offensive line of the Raiders, and you instantly have a top 10 unit, and I'm not kidding you when I say this. Raider fans would fall in love with Membu because it might not be a sexy pick, but neither was Kolton Miller, and Kolton Miller's been arguably the best first-round pick that we've had in many, many seasons. The other lineman that the Raiders could take, though, at pick number 6, and I would actually say there is a better chance that the Raiders take Will Campbell compared to Membu because he's got a top 30 visit, met with the Raiders at the NFL Combine, and he's got the height, the bulk, the athleticism to be a stud offensive tackle in the league. The problem is, though, he does have some T-Rex arms, which some teams could say that maybe they're just going to end up putting him as an offensive guard. Had a 72.2 overall PFF grade, but Spytek values athletic offensive linemen. Will Campbell, Armin Membu joined Tristan Wirfs and Trent Williams as the only lineman in NFL Combine history to be over 300 pounds, to have a 30-inch vertical, to also be able to run a sub-5 40-yard dash. When you're just that athletic and you're that big, it wouldn't shock me if a team that really values the trenches would try to bring in one of those 2 guys. Let's go to round 2 now, pick number 37. And again, you can go a multitude of different ways here in the draft. And I'm not saying that all these players are going to be available, but these would be the players that if they were on the board at 37, I would go, okay, these are going to be the guys that the Raiders have in mind. So for Josh Connerly Jr., he's an offensive tackle from Oregon. He had a formal combine meeting with the Raiders, and I like players that are coachable, and I like players that consistently get better. Also, the fact that he's got a little bit of a connection with JPJ, I don't think is ever a bad thing. But for an offensive line that does, man, like you got to get better and better and better, and you got to show that you're, coachable. And some people might point at little odds and ends of the NFL Combine. My favorite tape that I watched on Josh Connerly this past year, watch how he played against Abdul Carter. I can almost make an argument that probably the best tape that I saw in terms of an offensive lineman against an elite prospect was Connerly up against Abdul, and there was not many matchups that Carter lost. Carter lost that matchup. So when you can sit back and you can look at a lot of different things, if Connerly can win in that, I'm going, that guy can win in the NFL on a consistent basis. Let's go to another lineman here that I think could end up going round 1. I would be shocked if he falls to the second round, but Donovan Jackson has to be on this list. And he's got that coaching connection with Chip Kelly from Ohio State, allowed just 1 pressure in the CFP, but also, this is the bad part, he was cooked against Abdul Carter and went up against him, and Carter, put him into a blender a little bit, and sometimes that can just be matchup dependent. But I also know how much versatility matters in the NFL, and he played offensive tackle. He played offensive guard. And for somebody that values offensive lineman flexibility, if you have the opportunity to bring in a Donovan Jackson, maybe you can line him up at left guard. Maybe he could be somebody that you bring in and say, you know what, we're going to put you at left guard this season. If we don't give Kolton Miller a contract extension, we're just going to put you at left tackle, which maybe not be the recipe for success that I would do, but I know that Donovan Jackson does have a connection with Chip Kelly. Let's go to another player here. It's offensive guard Tyler Booker, and I forget who was watching live that was talking about Tyler Booker, but this is a powerful, mean, and I mean it, tough mother effer. And when you talk to a lot of Bama coaches, a lot of the Bama coaches give him high praise for his leadership traits. Leadership traits, guys that rock a C on their chest, is going to be something that Pete Carroll and John Spytek look very, very closely to. I will admit, he is an average athlete, and that average athletic ability was on full display during the NFL Combine. But if you're somebody that goes, I value tape and what I see on tape more than the NFL Combine, you're going to like Tyler Booker. And I also think, though, you got to compare, combinations. If you put Booker on an offensive line next to Jackson Powers-Johnson and you let those two players learn together, I think that you could be looking at a dynamic duo, something like a Rodney Hudson and a Gabe Jackson, where you separate them, they might not be as good. And I'm not trying to take away from either of those players, but when you put them together, you're like, all right, this is a really good duo. Tyler Booker and JPJ would be like the Bash Brothers in the Mighty Ducks and a whole bunch of knuckle pucks, and they're going to be throwing some serious knuckle pucks out there. Let's go to round 3, pick number 68 here on this show. And for the third round, again, this is where you got to start looking at some connections. And Jonah Savania, the offensive lineman from Arizona, he worked with Brennan Carroll, Pete Carroll's son, the Raiders offensive line coach, run game coordinator from 2022 to 2023 with Arizona. He's got fantastic length, which Chuggs loves, especially if you end up trying to move him to guard. And I could see a team try to push him into guard a little bit. Also a very durable 3-year starter with, I would say, average offensive tackle athletic traits. Like, if you're going to be an offensive tackle in the NFL, you got to have quicker feet, and I just don't think Savania has the quick feet that it's going to be needed to be able to win every single time you go out there at offensive tackle. You put him in, though, at offensive guard, and he's going to be able to give you a lot of good reps in there. At 6'4", 325 pounds, a 75.1 PFF grade, Jonah Savania, because of his connections to Brennan Carroll, I would say might be one of the most likely options in round 3. Though, if you told me, Mitch, who's the number 1 offensive lineman you want the Raiders to take in round 3, I'm going to go Tate Ratledge from Georgia. And this is just another one of those dudes where he's just a tough mother effer. And I want an offensive line when you're going up against them and you got to battle an offensive lineman for, 4 quarters, 17 games of a season. If you're battling Ratledge next to Jackson Powers-Johnson, even if the Raiders don't win a game, you're going to feel that. And, I go back to the stat last season, and it was like teams were winless following a game where they had to play the Detroit Lions. And essentially it was like the Detroit Lions beat the shit out of you so much that the following week your team's just really kind of banged up and you're just not able to go out there and be as physical and being as dominant as what you're looking to be. And that's what Ratledge is bringing to the table. A 3-year starting right guard, which, may be a player that I think you'd actually, and I always get cautious saying safe, but I really do think Tate Ratledge, just because of his mindset and just because of his body of work, does make him a safe prospect in this year's draft. Tough football mentality, and another player that gets a lot of traits of saying he's a great leader. And anytime I see a player that says, hey, this guy's a great leader, the Raiders, I know for a fact, are going to show love to that guy. Also, the tape shows that he's a good athlete. The Combine said he was an elite athlete. And I look at those elite athletic traits that I saw at the Combine. The tape for Georgia is a little bit, muddy from this past season, but 3-year starter at one of the best college football programs that there's been. That holds a lot of value to me. And Brock Bowers and Ratledge, I know for a fact, are really close. So this is going to be the pinned comment here on today's show. If the Raiders draft, only 1 offensive lineman, who do you want it to be? I want to know down below in the comments section. My answer is going to be after this YouTube ad break. So please let me know. If the Raiders draft only 1 lineman, who do you want it to be? Please let me know. To me, I do believe that the Raiders could potentially draft 2 offensive linemen this year, and you could see 1 tackle, you could see 1 interior offensive lineman. If it was up to me, I'm going to go Orman Membu, and then there's another player that I don't want to spoil it yet, but I do think he offers a lot of value a little bit later on in the draft. Let's go to round 4 at pick 108 here. And at 108, you could go, again, a lot of different ways. And the reason why that I say that is because this is kind of where the draft, to me, I get a little bit worried about because the talent starts to fall off in round 5, round 6, round 7 very sharply. And Charles Grant, an offensive lineman from William & Mary, he had a top 30 visit with the Raiders and met with them at the Combine. He's got elite length with a 7-foot wingspan. His footwork and body control plus his high school wrestling background make him a really fun prospect. And for people that watch this show a lot, you'll probably know when I see offensive linemen that have a wrestling background, it is something that I always fall in love with because if anybody that grew up around a wrestler, they just know how to handle their body, and they also know how to move you in ways that you didn't know was going to be possible. A 91.2 PFF grade. JPJ, guess what? He was also a high school wrestler. Let's go to Wyatt Milam, offensive lineman from West Virginia. And he was a 4-year starter with the Mountaineers, and he allowed 0 sacks since 2021, which is pretty damn good. Tough, smart, strong player, which is why he's a very good run blocker. He played left tackle for West Virginia. I don't really think that he's cut out to be an offensive tackle in the NFL. This is probably be somebody that I would try to move into left guard. But if you were saying, all right, let's draft Milam, let's put him at left guard, and then, again, you decide what you want to do with Kolton Miller. Maybe you want to kick him out there. But 27 career penalties, 12 the last year. I would say his quickness, his first step, like when the jump back, it's slow. And I think he knows that he's a little slow, which is why the penalties kind of racked up there. But if you put him at guard, you're not going to be at much of a liability. Big player, 91.1 overall PFF grade. I like Wyatt Milam. Somebody actually I thought could go in round 2. And because of some of these athletic, we'll call them malfunction deficiencies. That's probably the better word. Because of some of his athletic deficiencies, he's going to fall in the draft a little bit. Let's go to round 5 here at pick 143 for the Silver and Black. And again, when you're getting down here, you're going to look at some coaching connections. This player, though, is just somebody that was able to show that he was a reliable starter. And if I'm getting this late in the draft, that's what I want, some reliability. 4-year starter at LSU at right guard and left guard. Really good eyes and footwork, which I think help him always stay balanced. He's kind of got a little Dylan Parham in him where you can tell that he's a smart player and he sees the play happening, though doesn't really have some of the athletic traits that maybe you would look for in an offensive lineman. Really, really small hands, which maybe that's not that big of a deal to some people, but when you're trying to hit somebody in the chest and you're trying to move them, you know, if you got a smaller hands, like it's not as easy to feel that pop. He does have an okay PFF grade of 70.3, a lot of game experience, and actually one of my buddies who I played high school baseball with, funny enough, was a coach for him in Camden, New Jersey, and told me that Miles Frazier is a player that I got to keep an eye on. So, Quay, I got you, man. Let's go to round 5, Jackson Slater, and this is somebody who I would say is a name to keep an eye on. The Raiders met with him at his pro day. He's a good athlete who, quote, held his own at the Senior Bowl from one of our sources here at Chat Sports. He's a good north and south mover. So if you're trying to block and you're trying to go north and south, he's going to be a great guy. If you're trying to create some screens or if you're trying to go a lot of zone blocking and you need some east and west movement, he's not going to be the dude because just doesn't move as well in that direction. He is a bigger boy, 6'3", 311 pounds, 9 games last season, 76.4 overall PFF grade. Jackson Slater in round 5 is absolutely a name to keep in mind because he's on the Raiders' radar. That I can promise you. So we still got to get to round 6. We got to get to round 7 here on the Raiders Report, and I appreciate each and every one of y'all that take time out of your day to subscribe. Also, if you enjoy this show, friendly reminder that we've already done a video on running backs in each round, cornerbacks in each round, wide receivers in each round, and all of those videos are going to be available to y'all down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. So just keep that in mind. If you enjoyed today's segment, we have also done a lot of different segments just like this. So coming up, some late round offensive linemen that the Las Vegas Raiders could potentially target, and this is kind of where I could see the Raiders taking another lineman. You got 3 picks in round 6 at 180, 213, 215, and then in round 7 you got one at 222. So if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed, make sure those notifications are turned on, and make sure that you guys tune in for us when we decide to go live for the entire 2025 NFL Draft. I also want to give a shout out to which I didn't realize this is what we were doing. I want to give a shout-out to our guy. His name is Josh I., and he was the sponsor of today's show. And I was talking to Josh, and I said, Josh, what exactly do you want me to talk about? And here's what Josh told me. Shout out to Felly IT personnel. We work on calls and make sure business, hospital dispatch, and government personnel networks stay up to date. Because if they break or go down, they're in chaos about it. And IT personals have to be on it in seconds because losing connection for dispatchers or police or hospital can be life-threatening. Josh I, shout out to you. He said, my passion is my job of IT and talking about the Raiders. That is what I am. People forget about IT work and how it gets done. Never gets attention from the important spots that keep emergency places up and operational. Because IT support is a 24/7 work ethic everywhere, especially for keeping dispatching services in service up. It's just that group. I want to say hey, and thanks for sticking around. You guys are awesome. It's just a small field of work with emergency company that IT personnel never get the attention they see. So bottom line, Josh I was the MVP on a show. And I said, Josh, what do you want to give a shout out to? How do you want to do it? And it's basically he wants to give a shout out to all the people, all the IT guys out there. He also said, I was on deployment in Iraq, and I'm an IT personnel. We had to keep forward communication up to HQ. If that line ever went down, it was a bad time. I always worried about it, all that stuff. So I know that's a little bit different from what we typically do here, but what I really wanted to be able to start doing here on the Raiders Report is we have so many amazing people that show love to the show every single day, from a lot of the OGs, from a David Zahn to Raider Ron to, a guy that I miss a lot, Trivan, to, Navman. Josh I's been a legend. Patrick B. We have all these people, Rebel Montana, that are always showing love to this show. If there's something that you do that you're passionate about, that you want me to just give a quick little love to, believe me when I tell you this, I'm more than happy to do it. Let's go to round 6 here for some of the prospects that the Raiders could potentially target in the 2025 NFL Draft. And again, going to go a few different names here. Probably one of my favorite offensive linemen late is Joshua Gray, lineman for Oregon State. And he's somebody where he was a team captain and a 5-year starter who has been described as a very tough, strong, and reliable offensive lineman. He's going to be good as a run blocker and as an offensive guard. Not going to really rely on him, though, as an offensive tackle. And I say that because there are some people that have him listed as offensive tackle. The problem is his feet. His feet are way too heavy for pass protection, though he did get better and better and better, which I'll give him some credit in that. But at 6'5", 300, got to add a little bit of weight. And because he needs to add a little bit of extra weight in there, I would probably just say, let's put some weight on him, because I'm worried if you add weight and his feet stay clunky, it's not going to be a great recipe for success. So Joshua Gray is the guy in round 6, which now means we're going to go to round 7 here for our offensive line targets. And Chuggs told me that he was going to give me a fun name, and I don't know when the fun name's going to pop up. Very end? All right, cool. First one I'm going to bring up here is Caleb Rogers, and Rogers had a top 30 visit with the Las Vegas Raiders. He was a team captain at Texas Tech, played over 4,200 snaps in college, left tackle, left guard, and in right tackle. Definitely a little bit of a limited athlete, which his upside is capped, and you can definitely see that on tape. But if you're in the 7th round and you're just looking for I'll call him a Thayer Munford replacement. If you want a Thayer Munford replacement, I think Caleb Rogers is a good name to keep in mind. Another name here, we're going to go with Caleb Etienne. Etienne met with the Raiders at the Big 12 Pro Day. He's got elite size, length, but his technique is really bad. And the guy that I would compare Caleb Etienne to is a Dalton Wagner, where you look at Wagner and you're like, that guy is a mammoth of a human being. How isn't he better of an offensive lineman? It's because his technique isn't too solid. So because of that, Caleb Etienne is somebody to definitely look at. The final name I'm going to throw up here is Jalen Travis, and there's been a lot of hype around Travis coming here to the Chat Sports Studio. 6'7", 340 pounds, 12 games played last season, allowed only 1 sack out of Iowa State. The fact that this name's been getting a lot of buzz in the Chat Sports circles tells me that there's probably some other NFL teams, but also if you're the Raiders and you've been scouting Jaden Higgins, you've been scouting Jalen Noel, and I know they've been scouting Jalen Noel, that means you've also come across the name of Jalen Travis. First 4 years he played at Princeton, so you know he's really smart. That's interesting. All right, Jalen Travis. I dig it, Chuggs. All right, so we're getting ready to hop on out here again. I hope that all y'all decide to tune in to the Raiders Report when we decide to go live for the NFL Draft. Last year, we were live for almost 21 hours. We had almost 300,000 people join us. I was actually doing a lot of meetings today around some of our draft content that we're going to be providing. It's going to be a packed week, and I can't wait to break it all down for you. And if you want to see the picks before you see them on TV, you better be subscribed here to the Raiders Report. All right, I need a quick drink. My throat is...
Not goated.
Huh?
Your throat is not goated. I see a lot of questions.
Yep.
But actually that goes right into our next segment, which is going to be the final segment, our mailbag.
Yep.
So I see we have Kai, LA Crash Dog, Ryan, and God Family and Raiders for Life. They all actually have really good questions. Okay. So I'm going to save y'all four to start off our mailbag. Continue to super chat in your questions or use that hashtag Raiders to get in.
I dig it. I also want to say Manuel Ruiz, you, sir, are in. And then Joe Maldonado, you, sir, are also in. So it is a $20 Venmo right now for a chance to win $110 here on the Raiders Report. So we're about to get into a mailbag. Hashtag Raiders Super Chat to skip the line. Chuck said he's got a lot of good questions, so I say we just get right into the mailbag.
We can do that. Mailbag, and then afterwards, we're going to do two duck races.
Yep.
One for our March Madness, which Rubio isn't in, so it looks like it's going to be an all-or-nothing ordeal.
I'm into it, man.
Which, that's biasly.
Which,
that's,
actually,
that's what I would have preferred.
Let me see if Rubio responded to me. I don't even know if he did. The last time I heard from Rubio was free agency. Hang on. I have not heard from him. Rebo Montana! What's up, Reb?
Oh, top 5 best drinks of all time, and it's the whole kitchen sink. Mine, number 1, pina colada, the alcohol version. Number 2, a Jamaican agua fresca. Number 3, Samuel Adams Boston Lager. 4, coconut water. 5, Tropicana orange juice. Wow.
I mean, so
he's just saying...
Just drinks.
Just any liquid. Just whatever liquid you want.
All right, you get 1, 3, and 5. I get 2 and 4.
1, 3, and 5? Oh, okay.
So where do you want to go, 5 and work our way down this time, or going to go 1 and work our way up?
I think 1 and go to 5 just because it's easier to think of my favorite.
All right, what's your favorite drink?
I mean, I feel we're gonna be so different.
That's all right.
I'm just gonna go with fruit tea. Any kind of tea with like a lemon or like peach tea or like
fruit tea's your
or like
number one.
Mango tea. I love tea. I'm in a huge.
I think you just like tea bags. Fruity tea bags.
Love
your
it.
Your number one pick is fruit tea.
I don't know.
All right, if you ever become a rapper, we're just gonna call you fruit tea.
All right.
There's already an iced tea. We're going fruit tea.
What's 2? Okay, big talk over here. What's number 2? What's your definitive top drink that you drink?
Man.
Oh, yeah, not as easy as you thought.
It's not.
Fruit tea's sounding a lot better now.
Actually, for my throat, yeah, it doesn't sound too bad. I'm actually, I guess, just trying to think of what I drink the most of.
Mm-hmm.
It's a new drink that I've not just come across, but I definitely drink it more often. Lemon lime Topo Chico. I am obsessed with them. It's a great way for me to not drink a beer. It's also a great way for me to just have like a nice, refreshing drink. Lemon lime Topo Chico. Alex's mom's got me hooked on.
Okay, number 3, we're going Moscow Mule.
You love mules. All right, well, number 4, I'm going to go old-fashioned because I got to get an old-fashioned in there. That's the number 1 drink that I get when I go out.
Number 5, blue Kool-Aid.
Blue Kool-Aid. I'll tell you this. If in our fridge is, I guess I have water in there. You know which one I think I missed? Coffee. I think coffee is the number 1 thing that I drink. Not having coffee in there is going to hurt me. Fruit tea's wild. Dr. Pepper Zero Cream and Soda, strawberries and cream. I don't know, man. I'm I'm a little bit taken back by that. I'm not going to lie.
Dude, it's also just because I've been on a huge tea kick. Me and my wife have been going to a bunch of like boba tea places like on the weekend. And I do like a mango tea with like some like, you know, jellies or like whatever from like the boba places. You know what I'm talking about? Like where you can go? I've just been,
Have you ever seen
awesome.
that video of like the kid or the guy, he like drinks the boba and it like goes in the back of his throat? I know that guy.
Yeah, you showed it to me.
I was like, dude, that was
if we're going real niche, give me like your most
Rebel. Cheers to you, bro.
Give me your most like niche of niche drinks. Like it's very I guess like lemon lime Topo Chico would be super niche. Like you're not just saying
super niche.
You're not saying like of like a wide variety of drinks.
You know what's also a very good drink, and I don't know what some of y'all
Mountain Dew Voltage, the blue Mountain Dew. It's awful for you. It's probably like more than 100% of your daily sugar. I love it.
I can tell you a really embarrassing story about Mountain Dew Code Red. When I was a kid, this is right when I got Guitar Hero. And I don't remember what song I was playing, but let's just say it involved me with a 2-liter bottle of Mountain Dew Code Red. I drank the entire 2-liter bottle in one sitting, which might have been like an hour or so, and I'm playing Guitar Hero. And at the time, I used to be able to play on Expert. I don't even think I can play on Medium now. But I was doing a song, and I was crushing it. But I felt my belly rumbling, and I didn't want to pause it because I was just in the zone.
You peed your pants.
You can't always trust the fart. Let's just leave it like that.
Wow.
There was luckily that wasn't Code Red, but it was definitely
Mountain Dew,
a different type of Code.
Mountain Dew Blue Voltage, and my other drink.
Reb, cheers, bro.
Oh, I just had it in my mind. What is the other one?
What is like it's almost like melon water. Like you get it at like a Mexican restaurant.
Agua Frescas.
I don't know if that's it.
Also Celsius.
It's literally, I love Celsius. It like the only place that I've seen it where I've really liked it, they kind of come like in those giant tubs, like where you'd get like horchata. But then there's also, it's like melon. I don't know. It's sort of like melon water is how I would describe it. It's so good. Very refreshing on a like hot summer day.
Oh, dude, a cherry limeade.
Doritos, very good.
Cherry limeade from Sonic or a ocean water. Dude, an ocean water from Sonic is elite.
I don't know if I've ever had one.
You've never had an ocean water?
I think I've had Sonic twice.
Really?
And it was to pick up jalapeno poppers one time for Alex.
Were they good?
They were all right. Yeah, not bad. The other time, like I don't even remember the other time I got it. I can remember like waiting in line, not even in line at the drive-in thing or whatever they had. But I've only ever had it twice. All right, let's get into the final segment here on today's show, the mailbag. And then we're going to do 2 duck races, one for $1,600 for the March Madness winner, and then the duck race for the people that are watching the show today. So mailbag time coming up here. Hashtag Raiders Super Chat to skip the line. And then after this, if we don't get any more questions, if you guys are trying down to get down, I'm always down to get down. But we got to start getting this thing rocking and rolling. You ready? You ready? Coming up. This one is? All right, good. Game time coming up. Let's do it. It's mailbag time here on the Raiders Report. And the friendly reminder that this video was recorded on April 11th, 2025, just in case any other news ends up happening. If you end up missing the show, it's all good. You can always make sure to subscribe, tune in, hit those notification bell. That way you can join all of our mailbag shows that we end up doing. First one coming here from Kai. Gruden liked Howard, and he's growing on me. What do you think about us getting him in the 3rd round or getting him in the 2nd if we trade back? I want absolutely no part of Will Howard in the 2nd or 3rd round. If you want to target him on day 3, round 4 is even a little bit too early for me. I know that OSU just won a championship with Will Howard, but then here's the other part of it. And we just got to be real with this. Any person that John Gruden likes in the draft should scare the absolute hell out of you. And I know he's an entertaining dude. And I hope that John Gruden keeps doing his quarterback camp thing because it is a very entertaining thing. But taking draft advice from John Gruden is like taking financial advice or math advice from me. I don't think anybody should do it. Let's go to Crash Dog. We can't afford all the injuries again this year. Do you think Pete brought his own strength and conditioning team or at least made some changes? So we did actually add 2, funny enough in your picture too, strength and conditioning coaches this season. I also know that we're keeping our main guys, which, Max Crosby, one of his best friends is Rick Slate, who's one of our head strength and conditioning coaches. Still got Deuce Gruden in the mix into that as well. But there's also a new NFL rule, and I forget what video it was. We did it about 2 weeks ago that talked about the importance of being able to add extra players like at the end of the year for playoff teams if you do run into a lot of injuries. But then also the way that the Raiders are being built this season, they're being built to be able to sustain injuries. Because last year we were not great from depth perspective at all. And this year that's going to change. What up, Ryan? Mitch and Chuggs, happy Friday to y'all. Appreciate that. If we don't take Sanders or Jeanty, I would say take linebacker Jalen Walker because Chicago wants Jeanty. And I feel as well the Saints want Sanders. Hey, Chuggs. I don't know what that means. I'm guessing that's either a WWE. Chuggs said Gunther. I'm not going to. I saw Gunther and I thought Paul Gunther. And I was like, I don't want to talk about Paul Gunther ever again. Jalen Walker, though, is somebody that is actually starting to pop up on the Raiders' radar. I did a video last week saying this is somebody to keep an eye out. Also, when you look at the latest odds from Vegas, Jalen Walker has the 3rd highest odds to be the Raiders' pick at number 6. I think that that's somebody that we need to consider the Raiders are really looking at, and they're looking at him as an edge outside linebacker that's got really high upside and really good characteristic traits. Let's go to Robert Jansen. What up, Jansen? Trade back, draft Membu, Watson, Henderson, then look for wide receiver 1, linebacker, and another corner free safety. Than best available. I'll be real. I actually don't think you're going to be able to trade back and draft Membu. There's a part of me that thinks Membu is going to go 4 overall to New England. There's been a lot of hype around it, but if you told me you trade it back, I actually don't think the Raiders would trade back and take Membu. I think if they trade it back, it would be more along the lines of a Will Johnson type of player. Maybe they look at Will Campbell in that type of area as well. I like Xavier Watts. I like Trevion Henderson. If you told me we get both those guys in round 2 from trading back, I'm all in on that. So, Anita Bath. You said you were surprised. How many people were surprised we cut Jack Jones? Is there another player that fits into that category? So, a player that if I said, so essentially you're saying, I said Jack Jones wasn't a surprise at all that we ended up cutting him. So you're saying, is there another player that if the Raiders cut him, it would surprise Raider Nation? I guess I'd go with somebody like Zamir White, but I don't even think like Zamir White necessarily is somebody that would be all that surprising. Chris Smith, maybe somebody else with Georgia, which I guess that's 2 back-to-back Georgia players. I know that we still need safety depth. Chris Smith might be surprising in that regard. We still need running back depth, but like Zamir White's behind Sincere McCormick, and because Dylan Laube had a top 30 visit with Spytek last season, it makes me think that they would probably just keep him instead of Zeus. I guess I'm going to go Zamir White and Chris Smith. Let's go to God Family and Raiders for Life. What's good, Mitch? Do me a solid. Check out edge from Morgan State, Elijah Williams. This kid is a sleeper that I haven't heard any talk about. All right. Hey, if you're telling me to do some homework on a guy, I am never afraid to do homework on a guy, and I think people that watch the show can see my draft development from, 2 months ago to a month ago now, where I'm pretty confident in maybe like 80 to 90 to 100 players. By next week, I'm probably going to be up to about 120, 150. And then come draft time, I'm hoping that I'm somewhere around 200, but it's not always easy to do. I will do some homework, though, on a Morgan State Elijah Williams. Let's go to Bad Driver. Man, I love the coverage. If you all love the coverage, hit that subscribe button. I got to ask, what teams can you see picking Ashton Jeanty before the Raiders? I really don't see any teams picking Jeanty before the Raiders. I do think, though, that the Chicago Bears are a very interesting team to potentially trade up and go get them. And if you're asking me Jacobs or Jeanty, I would say both. Both are good running backs. Jeanty, though, is the better overall prospect than Jacobs. But I think that also should show you how good I'm anticipating Jeanty can be. Let's go to Painter. Do you still think that the Raiders signed Tyler Lockett? I do still think that the Raiders signed Tyler Lockett. And if I was a guy like Lockett, who I'm 33 years old, and I feel like I said this last week on a show where if I was Lockett, I would wait until after the draft. I would wait till the NFL draft is over, and then I would try to go out and sign with a team, because after the draft, there's going to be certain teams that are a little bit more desperate than others. But then also, if I was Lockett, the number one team that I'd want to go play for is the Las Vegas Raiders, because I know there's going to be a need for me there. I know I have a connection with Geno Smith. I know I have a connection with Pete Carroll. And, you're living in Vegas, so the tax is a little bit lower. 1 year prove-it deal. Let's frickin' run it. Any news on Renfrow or Lockett? No. It's been very, very quiet. I haven't heard anything in regards to Renfrow. The last time I heard, Renfrow had some other visits apparently. Hasn't really been reported, though. The only teams that I know Renfrow has visited with are the Carolina Panthers and the Las Vegas Raiders. But if I had to pick between Renfrow and Lockett, I mean, let's be honest, it's Tyler Lockett, which is kind of an interesting question here. Who do you think is a better wide receiver? And the reason why I'm going to ask this one is because if you think Trey Tucker is better than Tyler Lockett, there's no need to go out and get Tyler Lockett. And I'm serious when I say that. If you think that Lockett is better than Trey Tucker, though, I want you to type Lock, and I do think that Lockett is better. And one of the other reasons why I've said multiple times that I want the Raiders to go out and get Lockett is because I think that Trey Tucker can be special. I just think that he needs the right moldy or a right, what's the word? Bridge wide receiver, I guess, in a way. But Trey Tucker also is going to be able to provide, I think, some special teams value with some of these new kickoff, punt return rules. And Trey Tucker, also a former wrestler. So that's somebody that is a tough mother effer. Let's go to Jasoa. Hopefully I pronounced that right. I don't care if it's not the smartest pick. I want Jeanty at 6 more than anything. Watched him multiple times this season, and he runs through grown men like nobody I've ever seen. I guess my only question is, how many grown men has he run through? Because realistically, there's not many grown men that are playing college football. And that's just the truth, right? Like, you look at how big a player is in college compared to how much they develop into a grown man when they are 24, 25, 26, 27, 30 years old. It's just much different of a human being, and that's just a cold, hard fact. But you should care, because you should want to go with the smartest pick. This almost just sounds like you're more of an Ashton Jeanty fan than a Raiders fan, which I don't want to fall into I'm rooting. There's too many people that like Derek Carr more than they like the Raiders. I think Jeanty is a good pick. And if the Raiders end up going Jeanty, I'm going to be okay with it. There's a lot of picks that the Raiders can go with at number 6, but I care about what's smartest for the Raiders, not just the player that you want because you watched him. Jeanty can be special, but you got to go with the smartest pick. And maybe it's Jeanty. Maybe it's not. I don't know what it is. Shout out to today's sponsor, Game Time, the official ticketing sponsor of the Raiders Report. And they are hooking up Raider Nation, and I'm hoping that y'all take advantage of this deal. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Promo code ChatSports for $20 off. And you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account, redeem code ChatSports. That's ChatSports for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Now, if you do plan on going out to Las Vegas, we were talking about WrestleMania. We've talked about the Las Vegas Golden Knights. There's a lot of different things that you can do in Vegas. There's a lot of different things that you can do in a bunch of different cities that you're visiting. And if you are going to visit a new city, I hope that you take advantage of some of the deals that Game Time has available to you. Probably one of my favorite things about Game Time is the Game Time picks, which you can actually save up to 60% off by buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and a whole lot more. Game Time picks has last-minute ticket buying easier than ever by quickly highlighting the best deals in the stadium. So because of Game Time, I know for me personally, and we talk a lot about different sponsors here on the show, the number one selling point of why I would tell anybody to go to Game Time, it's the place that I trust to get tickets for my most important people in my life. My fiance, my fiance's dad, my dad. Chuggs has used the exact same thing for when he got tickets to Adele for him and Danny. But if you're trying to go to, let's say, WWE, was it SmackDown, WrestleMania? If you're trying to go, which is going to be April 18th, if it was up to me, I would wait until April 18th if I was in Vegas. And that's when I would go on Game Time, and that's when I would try to get my tickets for WrestleMania. Promo code ChatSports. That way, they know we sent you. Let's go to Bad Driver. Man, I love the coverage. I think we already answered this one. Yep. Aaron, we go wide receiver or corner in the second round? It always depends on what they do in the first round. But to me personally, like if you're looking at a wide receiver, I would look at Jaden Higgins. I'll be real. I thought Jalen Newell would be maybe a receiver that we'd be able to get in round 3. I don't know if that's as likely now if you're talking to some of the people that I've talked to. Cornerback, though, you could be looking at a Maxwell Harrison, who they met with recently. You could be looking at Siobhan Revel. You could look at a Trey Amos. A lot of hype around Trey Amos. It really just depends on what they do in round 1. And maybe if they go offense, maybe if it's a running back or an offensive lineman, then you go corner in round 2. Or they just say, F it, we're trying to build around Geno, and they go all in on a wide receiver. Let's go to Raider Jose 650. Are there any surprise post-June 1st cut candidates or someone we can pick up post-June 1st? There will be, and I don't really have a lot of names off the top of my head right now. What I would say might also happen is after the draft, right? When the NFL draft ends, there's going to be certain players that are like, well, wait a minute here. You drafted that guy. I don't like that very much. I'm going to be looking to get out. And like that could happen, right? Where, think about this. If the Raiders were to draft a tight end, and I know that might be something that people go, it's not going to happen. I mean, not a lot of people thought we were going to take Brock Bowers at 13. If the Raiders were to take a tight end this year's draft, I think Michael Mayer might actually be like, all right, I don't really want to be a part of this organization anymore. So those type of scenarios will pop up. They are going to happen. It will be a video that I end up doing. I don't know the names yet, but one of the great parts about the Raiders Report is you're going to get a video every single day, which is why you should subscribe, because we're going to be pumping out a lot of content May, June, and July. Hell, I was just talking the other day about we're going to start doing our Madden watch parties. When the Madden watch parties start rolling in, a lot of people have fun there. But there will be some post-June 1st cuts. There's also going to be a lot of players after the draft that are going to be looking to get out. Let's go to the next question here on the Raiders Report. Shout out to everyone that's tuned in right now to the live show. Over 500 people here in the building. I'm Punchy. Can you explain how draft experts have Sanders as the number 1 quarterback, but have Cam being drafted number 1? I think it's simple. I think it's everybody's draft board is different. There are some people that probably have Sanders as the number 1 QB, but based on their conversations with the Tennessee Titans, the Titans are going to go Cam Ward, right? Like, it's already almost set in stone that Cam Ward's going to be the number 1 player. And, you know, it's if the Titans have their quarterback rankings, if all 31 NFL teams had Shedeur as the number 1 and the Titans had Cam Ward as their number 1, that's all that really matters to the Titans is that he's their number 1. What up, Kai? Kyle Kennard looks like Max. What do you think in the 3rd? I'll do more homework on Kyle Kennard. South Carolina, I've heard he's long, he's lanky. Like, what I look for in a Max Crosby type of prospect are you bendable? And what does your 3 cone look like? And how well do you bend? And how well does your motor go? Because, you know, we had Max Crosby ranked a lot higher than I think a lot of other people did, because I can remember Tom talking about, like, this guy's bend and how, you know, I can even remember Mike Mayock called him Gumby just because of how well he was able to move and bend around. I'll do some homework on Kyle Kennard, but I'm not going to lie. Like, when I'm looking in, like, the 3rd past then, I haven't really been looking at many edge rushers just because I don't really know where the Raiders are going to take an edge, because I feel like our defensive line is already pretty set in stone. Let's go to Ja'Cory Green. Who is a player the nation is sleeping on that could surprise us this year? I mean, if Jordan Meredith starts, Jordan Meredith has got to be a name to keep in mind. He was really solid last season. How about this? This might be a weird one. Kyle Phillips. Like, Kyle Phillips was the very first recruit for Chip Kelly. So there's probably some, like, value in that. And again, like, you think about the moves that the Raiders have made. They went out and they got Alex Kappa early on. Even before that, they went out and they got Kyle Phillips, who can play a little bit of slot for you. I would say on top of that, Raheem Mostert, he had 21 touchdowns in 2023, and I do think he fits pretty well with what this offense is trying to do. Off the top of my head, I'd say those are some pretty good names. Let's go to Elijah. What up, man? If the Raiders are truly in win-now mode, who's the pick at number 6? If the Raiders are really, truly in win-now mode, I would say Armin Membu, Will Campbell, Ashton Jeanty would be the picks that I would probably end up going with at number 6. Or the number 1 thing I want the Raiders to do, trade back. I am so much team trade back, and even if, and I mean this, even if the value isn't typically what the Raiders could get, if you told me we could trade back from 6 to 9 and I want another second-round pick, but we're only able to get a 3rd, I'm okay with it. And I say that because I think that, you still could get Jeanty at 9. You still could get Armin at 9. You still could get Will Campbell at 9. You can still get Will Johnson at 9 or wherever they end up picking. I just want the Raiders to try to get another pick in the second or try to get another pick in the third round because I do think it's important for this year's draft. Now, if I missed your question, I apologize. You can always hit me up on Instagram or on Twitter. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365. I don't know if you guys have noticed, I'm rocking a new Raiders Report hat, which we're going to be giving away some Raiders Report hats leading up to the NFL draft, and also on draft night, we're going to be giving away some awesome Raiders Report swagger. So if you're a diehard Chat Sports Raiders Report fan, you better pull up to the NFL draft because you're going to get the picks before you see them on TV. Hundreds of thousands of people each day. It's going to be a good time. 21-plus hours those 3 days live here on the Raiders Report. All right, y'all, final call to get in for the duck race. If you want a chance to win some money here on today's episode, it is a $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. And right now, as it stands, I'm going to refresh. It's a 20 right now to win $110 here on the show. So final chance to get in, 20 to win, 110 on today's show. Good luck to you. Final chance, and then March Madness, 1600. Which one? You want to do March Madness first?
Just so we can give more people a chance to get in this one.
Okay, that sounds good. So we're going to do the March Madness race first, and then we're just going to give you guys a little bit more time to get in this one, and we'll do this at the very end of the show, which I just saw Anthony Green, you're in. And then David Zahn, you, sir, are in, which means it is finally this time, which every year that we do this, I'm always excited to see how it ends up going down. We got the 13th seed, Ivan Perez, up against the 7th seed, David Rubio, the March Madness finale. For those that do not know, each person has had to win what? It's round of 64, round of 32, Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final 4. They've already won 5 duck races to get to this point. The question is, can they win the 6th? For all the marbles, $1,600. This is going to be electric, man. This is going to be electric.
And nothing from Rubio yet, so
yeah,
this is winner take all.
This is winner take all. Winner take all. But I'll be real, since Ivan's here, that's what I'm rooting for. Ivan's here. I'm going to be rooting for Ivan. This is going to be, Ivan says, all good. Let's run it. So, we're going to do a minute. We're doing 40 seconds. It's the championship game. I say we do a minute long.
Here we go.
You ready?
I'm
Winner's
ready.
Going home with 1,600. If you're going to go David Rubio, type DR. If you're going to go Ivan Perez, give me some IPs down below. Ivan, Rubio, good luck to you both. Let's run it. Here we go, man. Dude, I'm not going to lie. I'm nervous. I am sweating right now. How do you think Perez feels?
Woo! Good right now. He's in the lead.
I mean, if there was ever a time to be nervous for one of these, it would be this. I see Dre's going to go with IP. I am seeing a lot of Ivans, which I think it's simply because he's here. Gotta go who's shown up every race from Ron Raspberry. I kind of agree with you, man. Which I feel like if Ivan ends up winning, he's probably going to get in next year's as well.
Oh!
See!
Raider! Oh, no. Bang! Oh, he's led the entire race.
Oh, no. Come on, Ivan. Rubio's starting to pull away. I think it's going to be Rubio. Ivan. So close. But yet, no cigar.
Oh.
Rubio with the win. And an OC bang. Rubio, I'm super excited for you, man. Ivan, I'm sorry, man. It was a great race. But Rubio ends up getting the win.
Rubio.
Rigged. Ivan said, I'm sick. Ivan, I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. But at the same time, that's how it goes, man. Rubio, you're going to get a Venmo from Chat Sports. My boss, James, it's going to be either from Chat Sports or James. It will not come from me, so be on the lookout for that in the next 24 hours or so.
OC, did we read this one?
Nope, just came in.
In a parallel universe, we didn't get Geno. We only have Minshew and AOC. What are talking about in the draft? How much Rodgers talk are we hearing? So basically, if the Geno trade never happened,
yep,
and it was Minshew and AOC, which I guess you never cut Minshew, which would be crazy. I think it would be Shador. I think it would be all Shador for the Raiders.
If you didn't have a quarterback, yeah, I think it'd be clearly Shador.
The Rodgers talk, I think, would also be dominant between the Raiders and the Steelers. Because right now it's just kind of assumed that Rodgers is going to the Steelers.
Yeah, Ron, I don't totally disagree with you, but that's how it goes sometime, man. That's how it goes. We also don't know what Rubio's maybe potentially going through. I honestly agree with a lot of stuff that Chuggs said. I think, there's a lot of people, though, in that Steelers community are kind of getting sick and tired of Rodgers.
Yeah.
Quickly, already, right? Which doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I don't know if you would have loved Rodgers on this team.
I mean, if Rodgers is good, he's easy to root for.
Well,
when he's average, it's not easy. When he's bad, he's really frustrating.
Mitch is a big work ethic guy, and Rodgers at this point in his career doesn't scream work ethic, culture, Max Crosby guy. So obviously, if he was balling,
but Max said he would want Rodgers. That's the confusing part.
I'm saying during the season, it would be hard. I feel like you'd have a hard time if Rodgers struggled for 2 or 3 games, being like this old pisser dude.
I mean, if he struggled, absolutely I would be, right? I'm going to be upset if Geno struggles, right? It's just the way that it's going to be. But if Rodgers goes out there and wins football games, I don't really care, right? And that is the truth. Where at the end of the day, quarterbacks get paid the amount of money they do to win football games. And if you're winning, cool. If not, doesn't matter. Another one!
OC Raider! Bang!
Let's get this happy hour started. Am I right? Let's go, man. Let's rock today. I'm not going to lie, OC's bringing life into me.
Team trade back here. What's the likelihood we trade back once? What's the likelihood we trade back twice? If we pick up a second and third round pick by doing this, what are your top 5 picks? I think the likelihood that you trade back twice in the first round is very slim.
Very slim.
The likelihood of the Raiders trading back twice during the entire NFL draft, I think, is very high. I could see the Raiders trading back at the beginning of round 2, maybe, for a team that's going up to get one of those quarterbacks or something at the beginning of round 2.
If the Raiders trade back twice, I think that they have a certain player in mind. And the one player that I know the Raiders like a lot, but based on value, doesn't make any sense for them to take him at 6, and it fills a huge need, is Emeka Egbuka, where there's going to be a run on receivers in the 20s because there's a lot of teams that need receivers. But if you told me the Raiders traded back and then they traded back again, I would sit up here and go, they want a receiver. They want a guy like Emeka Egbuka. Because I don't think he goes in the top 16, 17.
Yeah, I think where you start getting
18 would worry me with Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle, and then going into some of those other teams like the Packers are right there. You have the Texans at 25.
Yep.
I think
even Green Bay. Did you already say Green Bay? Packers. Yeah, dumb.
But no, yeah, I feel you, OC. I feel you.
OC.
If you want to send me if you want to send me the names for that duck race, we have our duck race. Last chance to get in. $20 Venmo.
The names that I see that are getting in here, I got Salvador Vargas. I got you. We got LCA. I got you. Richard Kelly, I got you. Patrick Roche, I got you.
It's fun to stay
And then
at the
Desmond Harris.
LCA.
You in. So it is a $20 Venmo for a chance to win $180 here on the show. This is going to be fun. OC Raider popping in on a Friday happy hour, trying to get the party started. I respect it, OC. I respect it, man. I mean, it's early for us. We went live. Man, we've been live now for, about 2 hours? A little over 2 hours now. I do have to leave here a little earlier today because usually I go live on Thursdays. Again, I apologize for not being able to show up yesterday just because of how sick I was. It was like a 12, 18-hour bug. I don't even know what the hell hit me.
Yeah, Junior, the thing is, in those mock draft simulators, they're always going to give you the option to trade back, though.
Yeah.
So, it's not realistic that every time you're up, you're going to have 4 or 5 teams calling to trade up.
Correct. Where, think about, I feel like every year we talk about trade back. They just, it's not
everybody,
as easy.
Not everybody can trade back.
But not everybody wants to trade up. And I think that this is one of the drafts this year that I don't know if many people are going to want to trade up.
I think teams that have a lot of picks in the beginning rounds, the Saints, the Patriots, I don't know if they're going to want to give up those second and third round picks.
All right, I got to add a few more people here. Mark Call, Frank Rivas, Jason Goots. 20 to win, 210 now. Yeah, 20 to win, 210.
Jace, you said Jason what?
Jason Goots.
And what was the other one?
I typed them to you if you want to see them. Mark Call, Frank Rivas, Jason Goots. Frank, that's good. Yep.
Freon.
Rivas. We got the little minions.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Decker, am I going to do the Madden simulations? Once the schedule comes out for the Raiders, then that's when we do it. Yep, that's when we end up doing
Which,
it.
funny enough, you know the guy who we always use his spreadsheet for the schedule release? He always has that, grid that he fills out.
Mm-hmm.
He followed me on Twitter.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's sick. Yeah, we'll be able to get the schedule. It's always a little bit of a mystery. There's a puzzle game that you can play to figure out the schedule, which we always try to do here. All right, I don't have anybody else in, which means this is going to be it. Winner's going to go home with $210. I just saw Trace's butthole. 3, 2, 1. Honestly, what you just showed me looks like this guy leading the race's mouth.
Dude, this Fluey
I don't know
is
what
crazy.
This race is.
What are these guys?
They're little minions.
These look like cracked out minions.
The one with the blue hat, the other Fluey, that looks like the character from White Lotus.
These look like minions if they
It's got the teeth.
hung around in San Francisco all the time.
I didn't know where you were going with that. Yeah, the teeth. The way that show ends is sad, really. Quite frankly, it's sad. Does anybody else watch White Lotus? Kind of wild. 20 seconds to go.
Shout out to all the brothers out there.
Somebody's going home with 210. Somebody's going home with 210. What is going on with Richard Kelly? Is that his brain?
Mitch was watching that show and he said, "I'm so glad I'm an only child."
Yeah. Patrick Roche.
Why is your mouth like that?
I'll be honest. There's a lot of questionable things going on here right now. Whatever Matt Fluhy's doing to LCA, I don't know if we can even have that on screen. Is that Zahn and Joel Rios? They're getting into it right now.
Dude, they're getting it.
Ruiz and Fluhy down at the bottom. Ira is having a really rough day. There is some serious shenanigans going on after that race. That looks like everybody gets the last place prize. What on earth, man? All right, Roche, I'm about to send you the money. Give me 1 second. Patrick, if you could please confirm down below that you just received $210. That would be great.
Wait, Gilbert Moreno gets the butthole pick.
All right, hang on, Gilbert. Just a moment. You'll get it shortly. You'll get it shortly. All right, y'all. I'm getting ready to hop on out of here. Dude, huge shout out to OC Raider for trying to get the party started. I'll tell you this right now. If y'all are down to party, I can hang out for a little bit longer. If not, it's all good. Chuggs and I can hop on out of here. Reminder, if you want to watch the next live show that we do, it's going to be on Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific.
And if anybody here has draft questions, I'll be going live next Wednesday on the Texans channel with Aaron Wilson. So if you have any draft questions, anything like that.
This one's for Chuggs!
C Raider Bang!
All right, Chuggs. You got to give the man what he wants. You got to give the man what he wants. How about this? Is this too much of an ask? Every bang we put on, what do you think, another like 5-10 minutes for OC? Give him 10 minutes. Guy bang
5
3
minutes.
times. Give me 10. Guy bang 3 times. Give me 10 minutes. We're going to extend it 10 minutes here for OC. 10 minutes. OC, shout out to you, man, for pulling up. So here's what we're going to do. 10 more minutes live. Every bang from there on out, we're going to add an extra 5 minutes onto the clock. We do alley-oops as well. If somebody wants to throw up a 50, it's all good. What's up?
Well, I was going to say, I do have to leave somewhat earlier, too, because it is a Jewish holiday tonight, so.
Oh, really? Did not know. Did not know.
Passover.
I won't keep you past 4 our time. So we'll be good until then. This one's for Chuggs. So here's what we're going to do. OC bought you guys another 10 minutes. Every bang from here on out, we're going to slap another 5 minutes onto it. I can't keep Chuggs past 4. I also actually came in today a little bit before 7 a.m. just because, again, I plan on going live on Thursday. Alex and I had some plans tonight, so just keep that in mind. But let's get some hashtag Raiders. Let's get some super chats flowing. Get some questions, comments going. Let's just talk a little bit Raiders. If you guys want to ask us anything, any type of shenanigans,
Crash Dog
please.
said, yep, going to Passover tonight as well. My man Crash.
All right, OC. Let's give OC a top 5.
Crash Dogs, you seem like a simple child to me. The simple child asks.
The simple child?
In the story, it's like Passover, you tell the story of Passover, which is, the story, it's in the Bible as well. It's in the Old Testament of the Pharaoh, and it's like, let my people go. And Moses parted the Red Sea.
You're talking to the wrong guy. I know the story.
That's the story of Passover, the one where he parts the Red Sea, and they go, and they leave Egypt.
Egypt.
It's basically like all Jewish holidays, just us escaping people that are trying to do us harm.
I got you.
That's almost every holiday.
I got you. All right. Rick Kelly says top 5 all-time Raiders. So I get 1, 3, and 5. You get 2 and 4.
Okay.
I'm worried. I think I know which one of yours are going to be, but we'll see. Greatest Raider of all time is such a difficult question. Like, my favorite Raider of all time is Bo Jackson.
That's who you're going with that one?
I mean, I think you can make an argument Bo was the greatest Raider for a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is his career just wasn't long enough.
Yeah.
Top 5 Raiders of all time. Who do you guys think's the greatest Raider of all time? OC, who do you think's the greatest Raider of all time? Let me know down below. This will give us some options here that we can think of. There's a lot of different routes we can go. I mean, Bo's got to be up there. Howie's got to be up there.
He knows.
Charles Woodson's got to be up there. Jim Otto's got to be up there. Does Max Cross crack the top 5? Still a little bit early. Doesn't have any win. Doesn't have a Super Bowl win yet. What about Madden? Does Madden count as a greatest Raider of all time? OC says Ken Stabler. Oh, man. Stabler? John Madden, Al, the snake from Rick Kelly. All right, you know what? Since OC's been the MVP today, I'll put Ken Stabler at 1.
Okay. Number 2, I'm going Derek Carr.
Get out of here, dude.
Your pick.
This list is ruined. Bo Jackson. It doesn't even matter now.
Bo Jackson. All right. Number 4, Randy Moss.
Oh, I'm sorry for anybody that's watching right now. Charles Woodson.
All right.
I was going to say Azul. Number 3, Jamarcus Russell. Unbelievable. Come on.
What?
You're being ridiculous.
What?
You're being ridiculous.
Is Randy Moss not one of the best wide receivers of all time?
Not on the Raiders.
He played for the Raiders.
I don't know if he did.
He's a Hall of Famer.
I don't know if he did.
Top 5 isn't a top 5 without Damian Arnett.
I mean, honestly, if we're putting Derek Carr in the top 5, Damon Arnett deserves to be in that top 5.
Martavius Bryant.
Worst top 5 of all time. Jamarcus, Damon Arnett, Alex Leatherwood, Jonathan Abram. Just picking recent round 1 busts.
Cleveland Ferrell.
Darius Hayward Bay. Yeah, Clee's probably up there too. Zahn, I don't think he tried at all.
Who?
Mark says Stabler is the best quarterback the Raiders have ever had. The next was Jim Plunkett, hands down, period. Again, I don't remember those days very well. I think the problem is people just look at stats.
Well, also, any quarterback before 1990 wasn't really a quarterback.
I mean, I don't know if you could say that. Now he's definitely just trying to troll. No doubt about it.
I feel like any quarterback before 1990 used both hands to throw the ball.
Green 18, Green 18, go. What if that was a rule? Like you, instead of the tush push on 4th down, if you're going to go for it on 4th and 1, you had to throw it 2 hands. That would be crazy. That would be insanity. All right, come on. Let's get some questions going.
Todd Marinovich.
I don't want the OC time to go to waste. Hashtag Raiders, super chat to skip the line.
Also, the fact that Rich Gannon's not in the top 2 of your top Raiders receivers of all time, I forgot who put that. I think that's wild because he won the MVP.
You said receivers.
I mean, quarterback of all time.
I mean, Gannon's going to go up there, right? And I think, I look at the way the Rich Gannon seasons went is kind of the way that I'm hoping the Geno Smith seasons go, where everyone's like, Gannon's a journeyman at 34 years old. Geno's a journeyman at 34 years old. Gannon ends up winning the MVP at 37. Geno Smith, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to say he's going to win the MVP by 37, but I do think he's going to be a lot better than what people think. All right, y'all. Hashtag Raiders. Come on. I need some questions. We got 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Nnamdi Asomugha. My buddy in college used to sign his name as Nnamdi Asomugha. Per Vic Tafer and Tashawn Reed, they believe AOC could be dealt at the draft. What do you think? I mean, anytime I hear a report from Vic or Tashawn, I'm always going to think almost the exact opposite.
We know why they want to trade to AOC.
Is going to happen. I would say I could see it potentially happening, and there's 2 big reasons behind this. One, Aiden O'Connell is a good enough quarterback to be a backup quarterback on almost any NFL team out there. He's got a lot of value, and this is the year that if you're trying to sell, you try to sell Aiden now because his value is at the highest it's ever going to be. He's got 20 games played, 17 starts, and you can get value for a quarterback. The other part of it is there's teams out there like the New England Patriots that I do think could show a little bit of interest in him. I know they already have Josh Dobbs. But then the other part of this is this, and this is, a factor that I don't think Raiders fans quite think about. This Raiders organization wants the fan base to be totally in on Geno Smith. The fact that there are still people out there that think Aiden O'Connell deserves a shot to compete with Geno is going to cause, actually, I think, an issue for Aiden because that's just never going to happen. And when you know that your fan base might be a little bit split on a decision, a way that you can kind of separate it is to cut ties and move on. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know what Aiden would give you in a trade, maybe a 6th-round pick. Probably what I would hope to get. I mean, if you could get a 5th, that'd be interesting. But then again, I think a lot of people anticipated Joe Milton for going for a lot more. I thought the Joe Milton trade was more than fair. But that's probably what it would end up looking like.
If you could do Aiden and one of your 6th-round picks for a 4th-round pick.
Say that again?
Aiden and you send Aiden and the Raiders send one of the 6th-round picks for a 4th.
Yeah, do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
That's an easy one.
John?
Probably ends up being 180. Hey, Mitch, do you think we can fleece the Cowboys for their 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round pick this year if Chicago pushes for Jeanty? Nope. I would say best case scenario, if you're the Raiders, you get a 2nd round pick and a trade down. Mm-hmm. And that's best case scenario. And I don't even know, again, maybe there's a team that really tries to go up and get them, but like if you go from 6 down to 12, I think honestly all you're probably doing is you're probably just getting a 2nd round pick.
We're going to end on this question.
All right, Zahn, my question. Where does your lap go when you stand up?
Because you only mention your lap when you're sitting down. Never standing up be like my lap.
I guess it's a good question. I don't know.
I had a similar, I'll call it a shower thought earlier, Mr. Zahn. Why is running back the only position that it's 2 words? Cornerback, 1 word. Quarterback, 1 word.
Tight end.
But like of the backs.
Oh. Defensive back. 2 words.
Why?
I don't know.
Why is quarterback 1 word, but cornerback is 2? Running back 2.
I don't know.
Why?
Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. All right, y'all. Next time that Chuggs and I are going to be live here on this show, Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. OC, thanks, man, for really pulling up today, showing love. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. To everybody else that pulled up, shout out to you, Ivan. I'm sorry. Or David Rubio, congratulations on you. Everybody have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys on Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific.